Oh, hello. Good evening, everybody. It is Friday. Friday. I'm excited. Starting the weekend. I hope you guys are all having a good weekend so far, or at least a good start to your weekend, that is. Let's switch views over here. Hello. Hello. Good evening, everybody. So, welcome to today's episode of Beyond the Doll. This is now episode 35. So, as always, I am your host, Shizu-san, and my beautiful assistant with me today is the very lovely Courage in Galactic Gray. I decided to bring her out because why not? She hasn't been in a video in a little bit, and she needs a little attention, I guess. As most of my girls in my collection kind of do need a little attention. I have so many of them. It's hard to keep all of them. Like keep track of all of them and like when they appeared, what episode, and all that good stuff. But today it's Courage. Okay, so how's everybody's Friday? Hopefully good. I had a very long, stressful week at work, but I'm glad it's finally the weekend, which technically is not that great news for me this weekend, just because I'm just super busy. I'm preparing for next week, as next week is Katsucon. I mentioned in last Friday's episode of the Doll Symposium that we would have another Doll Symposium next week, but we are not next week because it's Katsucon. Unfortunately, I won't be doing any live shows as in Beyond the Doll or the Doll Symposium. I may try to stream, hopefully. Like, it really depends. I guess the first time I tried streaming when I was at that Geekdom Con, I guess because the place was just good, like location for service, like I was able to stream the whole thing. But like lately, I've been trying to live stream all the different conventions that I go to, and like I've been having a lot of like connection issues where like I try to stream and like it's just super laggy. So I don't know, maybe this time I might stream Katsucon, or I might try to do what I haven't done in a long time, and that is to do a pre-recorded video. Just record my time there and then just kind of put it all together and then throw it out to you guys as a video. But yeah, I'm got a lot of work to do. I haven't finished everything I need to do to prepare for next week, so this weekend is going to be very busy for me. But before we start today's episode, let's give a shout out everybody. Welcome everyone that came to the live stream tonight. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it and not hate me, because it is a rather spicy topic and people do get rather sensitive when it comes to these kind of things. But Tempest Strife, welcome to the stream. Kitten Cat Shop Anna, welcome to the stream. Scruffy looking Nerd Hoarder, welcome to the stream, Corey. PMB Sakura, welcome. Kami Faye, welcome to the stream. Barbie Witch, hello. Been a while. Welcome to the stream. Who else am I missing here? Johnny Ohm, welcome to the stream. I think that's everybody at least that has checked in and said that they're here. Welcome everybody. Hopefully, like I said before, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. Friday, gotta get down. I mean, if you want to get down, why not? You hush with that fresh language. What? Come on now. I'm trying to be good. I didn't say anything that bad, did I? I got Jersey Mike subs and a jean jacket from... What do the two have to do with each other, Tempest, though? What's up, Johnny Ohms? Looking forward to sewing on patches. Oh, you can do that while you listen to the stream tonight? That's good. Barbie Bitch, why are you crying? You're here for the good news? Well, I mean, it's a debatable topic today. It's going to be a little bit spicy, because some people may like what I have to say, some people might not. You've been 3D printing a lot? I bet. You're here and ready to politely debate? Well, we're going to try, Tempest. I don't know how polite or non-polite this topic is going to be. I'm hoping that it'll be somewhat educational, but probably not. Although I do have to preface, before we start talking on the nitty-gritty of today's episode, I do want to say that pretty much everything I'm saying, and I'm sure this goes without saying, I probably don't even have to mention this, but just in case, everything I'm going to be saying and talking about in today's episode is subjective. It's subjective to me. So don't think that what I'm saying is fact or truth, Okay, this is a very subjective topic. Everyone has a different idea of what this should be or what the idea should be. I'm just going to give you what I think is a good idea or what I think could be helpful. Um, but it is very subjective. Okay, don't take what I say to heart because it's very well uh or very much so should be understood that I could be wrong, like even way wrong about some of the things I say tonight. I tried my best to do some research and figure out, a good standing of where things are, but for the most part, what I'm going to say is very subjective to me and how I feel the market should be for these things. Okay? So don't take me 100% seriously. Just think of this as like a good topic that we can just discuss and see if we can find common ground. Okay. And for those of you that are watching this on the VODs at a later date, voice your opinions in the comment section. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, I do want to hear it. And I think everybody would like to hear it because this is a topic that people ask about all the time in Facebook groups, Instagrams, Discord, whatever social media medium that you use. This is something that is highly debated upon and has gotten a lot of negative negative, I guess, feedback. But I think that we should at least try to have a healthy discussion about it. So with that all being said, okay, let's start with the topic. So today we are going to be talking about selling your collection. Now, most of us that have a collection of many or one, it does not matter. What I'm talking about when I say collection is just your items, things that you own that you have decided that you want to part with, whether it's a doll, many dolls, clothing, accessories, etc., etc. Some people want to sell things to make space for more. Some people just have lost touch or just haven't had an attachment to a certain doll or item. And they would like to sell to recoup some money in order to buy more things. Or some people just have been falling on hard times. And they need the money for X, Y, and Z reasons. I've heard many different stories like this. So there could be many reasons of why you want to sell. But when you do sell, when you make that decision that you want to part with something or sell something from your collection, you gotta decide and think of something to yourself like, what is it worth? And then what is it worth to me? And what is it worth to other people? What is realistic, etc., etc. Now, one example that I usually like to talk about when I talk about things like this would be Grail dolls, right? Grail dolls are something that, everybody has, whether it's a Dolphy Dream, Smart Doll, A-Zone, Pull Up, Live, Barbie, Disney, doesn't matter. Everybody has their idea of what a Grail doll is and what they're looking for. And some people are willing to pay and some people are not willing to pay. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with the term of Grail doll is just something that you really want. It's a doll that you've wanted all this time, but it's no longer available from the regular medium. And when I say regular medium, the actual creator or the store. So for example, the picture that I have here is a very common, I don't even know if I want to even call it a Grail doll anymore, because I think most people don't even care about this. But in its heyday, this Dolphy Dream Saber Lily was a highly contested or highly sought after doll. Now, you could make the argument that she was highly sought after because she was rare. You can make the argument that it's just your favorite character. Or maybe this rendition of her just looked the best to you. Whatever it may be, at one point in time, she was super, super sought after and very, very expensive. I believe she retailed somewhere around like $700, $800 straight from Volks. Somewhere around that figure. And then at one point in time, she was worth about $3,000, $4,000 on the secondhand market. That's a lot for a doll. She was the most expensive secondhand doll out there for a long running time. I don't think that is the case anymore. And I really don't think she's rare anymore, especially since, and this is when a long time ago, back in 2019, when I went to Japan, almost every secondhand shop had her for sale. So, but this is what I'm talking about. Something that's important and you want to sell. Like, how much are you going to sell these things for? When is too much too much? When is the value of something worth what you're attaching it to, right? And everybody has this dilemma, because obviously there are people that want to sell things, like I said before, for the sake of selling for X, Y, and Z reasons. Then there are people that we know as scalpers or resellers, individuals who purposely buy things because they know that it's going to be popular for the pure sake of reselling it for more money. Those individuals exist. And whether you agree that those individuals should just be 100% gone or they should stick around, obviously is subjective. I'm actually on the fence. To be perfectly honest, between you guys, I'm on the fence about scalpers because, one, I don't like the price. They sell it for way too much. They saturate the market, or they make the market seem like something is so rare because they buy everything out and then sell it for a high premium, right? Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to spend exorbitant amounts of money on an item that they really want. Nobody, unless you're super rich for whatever reason. But at the same time, what happens to those items? Like, when does someone become a seller to a scalper, right? Because I think that part is where you become subjective, right? That's the part where you reach subjectivity. Because you can take a doll and it's worth $500. Let's just say you spent $500 straight from retail, from the store, the original creators. Now, you could say that when you sell it, depending on the condition, for this sake of example, let's say it's in mint condition, absolute mint condition, nothing wrong with it whatsoever, right? And you want to sell it. You could say something like that could probably go for the same price of $500 because it's pretty much mint, nothing wrong with it. But then people will also say, well, it's still used. Like, you still took it home, you still opened it, played with it maybe a little, whatever have you. So that will mark down the value to whatever it's going to be, right? So if we use the example of $500, maybe you mark it to $450. Maybe you mark it to $400. Who knows? Then there's the other side of the fence where you're like, well, I spent $500 on this thing, but you can't find it anywhere. And it's super popular and everybody wants their hands on it, but nobody's selling. Let's say you're the first one that decides to sell for whatever reason. Like, you lost interest, you couldn't bond with the doll or the item. So you're like, well, people really want this item. Maybe I'll sell it for $550 and take a $50 profit. Maybe $600, maybe $2,000. Like, where do you draw the line, right? And everybody says, oh, well, market value. But then who establishes that market value, right? Obviously popularity, obviously rarity, things like that. But who sets the first price? In some ways, I feel like that would be the scalpers, like the ones that buy in order to resell, like the pure value, because they're the ones that they have no interest in keeping the doll, obviously. So, once it sells out, I feel like those are the ones that start the precedence in a way. So they're like, if it's a $500 doll, right? What happens is maybe the scalper will sell it for double the price, right? So, the day it's released, sold out. Next day, all of a sudden you see it online, eBay, Mercari, Facebook group, what have you, for $1,000. At that point, whoever that scalper is already set the precedence. Now people are saying, oh, that's ridiculous. $1,000, that's double the price. I would never pay that. But then here falls the other problem. There you have all these people complaining, saying, oh, scalper this, scalper that, hate them, blah, blah, blah. $1,000, double the price. Ridiculous. Who's going to pay that? Then somebody buys it. Whoever that may be. That could be somebody that really, really wanted the doll, couldn't get it because X, Y, and Z reasons. They had lag, they were asleep during release, they were working during release, blah, blah, whatever have you. That person ends up buying the doll for $1,000. Granted, exorbitant amount of money. It's double the price. You shouldn't do that. But somebody buys it. The fact that somebody bought it, whether they have a lot of disposable income, whether they're irresponsible buyer and they didn't have the money for it and just financed the whole thing or just credit card the whole thing and then destroyed their finances, the simple fact that that person bought it for $1,000 automatically sets precedence. Now everybody that wants to sell that doll is now like, well, I want to sell this doll, but if I sell it for $500 or $450, I feel like now I'm losing out because it's been selling on the market for $1,000. So then people are like, well, I don't want to be the schmuck that sells it for $450 when I could have gotten $1,000 out of it. Maybe I should go a little higher. Maybe I'll do $600 or $700 or $800. And you see the game, it's just a game. It just keeps playing on and on and on. And like, if nobody buys it at that exorbitant amount of money, then it would never happen. But the problem is that somebody always does. And you never know what situation that person is in that caused them to pay that amount. But regardless, for the reason, that amount sets that precedence. And then it becomes bad. It makes the market so bad for things because now things become almost unreachable or unattainable, so to speak, for a lot of people. And then when do you say, oh, this is justifiably right? Like, that's a reasonable price for that. Well, we're going to talk about that today. And I'm going to give you guys a couple examples and we're going to debate on like what we think is reasonable. What do you think is a good, reasonable price for these items? So I talked a lot. That was my huge monologue for the beginning of today's episode. I know chat's been going off, so I want to see what you guys are saying here. Let's see. Tempest, you're in Duty Finder? What? David Keynes, welcome to the stream, David Keynes. Let's see. Johnny Holmes says it happens. Yeah, it does happen. These prices it does happen. Yeah, that's the controversy, Barbie Witch. It's how to price your items. Like, and people are always, here's another thing. One thing I notice that happens when people sell things is the shaming. Oh my God. And a lot of, I want to say in my particular example, a lot of Facebook groups, so much shaming. Moderators had to delete posts, kick people out, or some of those groups just dissolve altogether because of the price shaming. That's a really big thing that's been happening in the past couple of years. Let's see. Suginto went for a crazy $3,000. Dang. If one's conscience feels good about asking $300 for a license doll and gets that amount, mazel tov. Yeah, I mean, I hear you on that. I definitely hear you on that. Like if you think it's worth that much and you sell it and someone's willing to buy it, I mean, who's at fault at that point? You or the other person? But although the masses will crucify you for it, though. They'll be like, you sold it for $3,000. You're a scalper. Shame on you. And they'll shame you for that pricing. Whether you think that pricing is legitimate or somebody else thinks it's legitimate or nobody thinks it's legitimate. Usually if something goes for an exorbitant amount of money, people will like price shame them. You said you would squint at who pays that amount and wonder why they didn't check Mandarake. The problem is not many people even know Mandarake exists. It's lack of education. It's lack of knowledge. Like most people, at least America, a lot of people look for eBay, Amazon, nowadays Mercari, things like that. But because, Mandarake is a Japanese company and it's not international, although they sell internationally, not a lot of people know it exists. And there are other Japanese stores other than Mandarake that sell these things, and people don't even know they exist. Like Surugaya is another one, or Yahoo Japan. Like people just don't know of these things, or they might not have as ease of access. Like things like Yahoo Japan, you can't just buy directly. You're going to have to use a proxy service. So maybe some people don't think it's worth using those programs. So there's a lot of different reasons that come into that. Kitten Cat Shop says it's the person buying it. I mean that's the debate, right? Is it the person selling it for that price, or is it the person buying it at that price? People with way too much money make terrible decisions and creates market for others. That is true. The people with the money, or even like I said before, the people without money that just makes bad financial decisions, also kind of lends to this topic. Yep, it's like FOMO. Folks need to consider their own. That's true. FOMO does play a part in it too, because if it's a doll that you wanted and you never see it for sale, and then one day all of a sudden it comes up, like you've been waiting years, and all done one day it just appears, but it's like $5,000. That person might be like FOMO, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't seen it forever. And I'll tell you a story of FOMO, my own personal story. And when we get to that point, I'll tell you about that. Let's see, the Barbie Witch says, once you pay the markup, you wreck it for everyone to come after you. Well, that's true. That's true too. But most people don't advertise that, they do it. I mean, I will out myself and I'll tell you an example of me doing it, because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't want to lie to anyone on my channel. Like, this is honesty talking. I'm stinging and will hold out for years on something I want because I hate markups. I believe everybody hates markups, but it's kind of unavoidable. Kitten Cat Shop says, yes, Barbie, I've been looking for 2 years. Finally got a layaway on a reputable person for a reasonable price for my grail. Tampa says, back then Google Translate wasn't as good either. Japan only release, etc. Yep, that were a lot of problems. Google Translate wasn't as good. Even some Japanese sites wouldn't sell because they don't want to ship internationally, because shipping internationally not only costs a lot, but you got to remember too, like other countries, their addresses are not set up the same as your country. So just figuring out how to send something, how to address things properly to another country is also another big problem. Let's see. David says, in 2021, 2022, I sold my whole collection of 20 plus smart dolls and swapped brands with 16 were discontinued milk dolls. I got what I paid for the dolls in half the sales, and the rest I more than paid, not counting tax and shipping, etc. Yeah, that kind of happens. Your licensed doll, you got double the retail price. Well, see, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that too, like whether or not double the retail price is worth it or should be worth it. And we're going to talk about it as by giving examples. And this is where I want your guys' helps. I want all y'all's helps in, trying to figure out like what should we do? What's a good medium, right? So we'll do that. We'll talk about it. And again, none of this is set in stone. This is all subjective, but I think it's a healthy discussion that we should have. Is there a reasonable percentage or top amount over the top? See, but reasonable is so subjective. Like, what's reasonable to you may not be reasonable to me, may not be reasonable to David, may not be reasonable to Barbie Witch. It depends, right? Now, you could always say there is a reasonable percentage that everybody can decide on. But can you really? Like, we can't even, like, all agree that we should just be nice to each other. Like something as simple as that, right? Like, things are not always the same. And sometimes it's because of cultural differences. Sometimes it's because of regional differences. Sometimes it's because of societal differences. There's a lot of different things that are aspects that play into why people think X, Y, and Z things. And it's not always, the same thing for each person. Barbie Witch says the the madness for Super Dolphies cooled off and they're all yellowed so they can be used for a nickel. That part I don't really know too much about, Barbie Witch, because I'm not very knowledgeable in the resin field, but I'll take your word for it. So when you want to price something, so let's see. First up, let's talk about this one. Okay, I picked some pretty easy examples that everybody can kind of relate to or know exist. So Hatsune Miku, the original Hatsune Miku from Volks. Where's Batman Jackson? Because I know she loves this. So Hatsune Miku, right? If you buy Hatsune Miku from Volks way back in the day when she first released, now these prices are not going to be exact because of the market change. So I just translated the prices to today's market. So from Volks, she launched for 62,000 yen when she launched. That was her original price from Volks. Roughly translates, that's $415. Now, I know that's not what you guys paid for her when she released because the market was different. Right now, that's what 62,000 yen looks like, though. It looks like $415. And these prices are concurrent to today because I did all the translating of prices or the converting of prices today. So $415 is roughly the price of her. Now, when you bought her, though, back in, I think it was like, 2011 or 2012 when she was released, the market was different. 62,000 yen back then was very much so close to $600. Like it's very close to that. It was probably a little bit less, maybe 590 or something like that, but it was very close to that back in 2011. The price, like I said, prices were different back then. But I'm going to use today's prices just because if you wanted to Google Translate it today, that's what you would see. Now, what do you guys think she goes for in the secondhand market? Because Volks doesn't sell her anymore. And this is discounting the reboots. I'm not talking about the reboots or the Miku NT. I'm saying if you wanted to get your hands on her like now, right? How much do you think she's worth? Before I show you the prices of what I found, how much do you guys think she's worth? Kitten Catch Up says, I try to do comparables, but some markets get wonky. Like Barbie's right now, prices are way high because of the movie. But it will cool off again. Yeah, that's true. That's another thing, like outside influences, like movies, like if it's a collaborated doll, like a new anime series, things like that could jack up the prices. David says, I personally only work out the sales value on the retail price and rarity. I don't include the shipping and tax, which I paid for the doll. So in that sense, I lost money for the most sales. That's a good point, David. I didn't mention that. So I should specify the markup price should be, or the resale price when you're selling should not include tax and shipping. For sake of today's example, like just today's conversation, we're just going to include just the price of the doll. I'm not talking shipping. I'm not talking taxes or anything like that. Oh, Barbie Witch, thank you. Thank you, Barbie Witch, for the donation. I very much so appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. So for Hatsune Miku, her price on the secondhand market, I'm going to give you two values, okay? Because I think it's very important to see the difference on these two values. The first value for her on the secondhand market is 90,000 to 120,000 yen. Roughly translated in today's money, like if you were to buy her at those prices in yen, she'd be $600 to $800 roughly. Now, these prices are based upon Japanese sales prices. We're talking Yahoo Japan, we're talking Mandarake, we're talking Surugaya, we're all those different places that you can buy. Mercari Japan, all those places. Like these are Japan secondhand market prices for her currently. So you see that markup. Basically, if you take the highest one, which is the $800, now that is something that is about like unopened, never used, that kind of like sales pitch. Like it's practically brand new. You're looking about double the price, $800 you see there. The used one for $600, those are usually generally the ones that I found that were opened, maybe have a stain, maybe missing a piece, things of that nature, is usually around the $600 mark in Japan. Now, these are Japan prices. Now, if we go to international prices, like eBay. Now, this is not just eBay prices. I only put eBay on there because I didn't want to put all the different places, but basically what I'm referencing in the secondhand prices is eBay, places like Mercari, Amazon, Facebook sales groups, Discord sales groups. That's what I'm basing these prices on. But you could see the huge difference between Japanese secondhand prices and the rest of the international market prices. Like you're seeing here, like eBay, Amazon, Mercari, US, these are like US or international prices. You're looking at $1,300 to $2,000 right now for Hatsune Miku. Like that's a big markup compared to her original sales pitch. So you think $415 at today's market value for her if she was bought from Volks. Secondhand, because of rarity, there's not many out there for sale right now on the secondhand market. $600 to $800. So you're looking at roughly a 50% increase to, double the increase at $800, like double the price essentially in the Japanese market. But if you're buying it on the international market, you're looking at a huge markup. That's like what? I'm not good at math, so I'm gonna say that's like triple, right? That's about triple to quadruple the original price value for a Hatsune Miku. Is that really worth it? I don't think that's worth it. But the problem is that someone out there is gonna pay that $1,300 to $2,000, and because somebody does that, that sets a precedence that other people are going to do that too. Like, I'm not saying like there's a whole bunch of people that's just going to start spending $2,000 willy-nilly. That's not what I mean. What I mean is like, because it was bought at that price, it gives other people an idea that they're justified in selling at $1,000 or $1,300 because they're like, somebody bought it for $2,000. Now I don't want to get harped on for selling for $2,000 too. So how about I sell it for $1,500? You know what I mean? And then people try to undercut, right? So then someone else sees the $1,500 and they're like, well, I don't want to sell it for $500 and lose out when other people are making so much money. So I'll sell mine for $1,400. You know what I mean? Like it just is this domino effect of like craziness on these pricing. Luxaria, welcome to the stream, Luxaria. So Lux says, true, I saw her at Mandoraka and Yahoo Auction for that much. Okay, yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. Like, the Japanese prices are different. Now, I don't know why that is. Is it because the Japanese people know the value much more better? Is the market just better there? Like, why is there a huge difference? Here's my thought. Because let's talk about Volks in general just right now. Just specifically Volks for this one example, okay? Because Volks is a Japan-based company and they mostly advertise to their region, but they have Volks USA, but they don't really internationally advertise as much as we would like, right? They mostly focus on their market. So a lot of the prices kind of like revolve around there. And the ease of getting these items for Japanese residents or people that, that are relatively close to Japan is much easier than, let's say, someone here in the States or someone in Europe. Can you buy them anywhere in the world? Yes, you can. But is it a little bit harder? Yeah, there's some hoops you got to do. Like, you got to pay for Volks. You got to have a membership to even start doing a lottery or participating in the lottery or the Click War. You have to have a membership now. That used to not be the case. Like buying secondhand or used from Mandarake or Yahoo Japan, you may or may not need a third proxy. And you got to pay them now too. And there's extra fees that go on that. So when people look at that and they're like, oh, that's a lot of work, or I don't want to pay a proxy because I don't know if they're going to scam me out of my money. There's all those different reasons. So somebody that's uneducated or not knowledgeable about the subject, they might see that eBay price of $1,300 or $2,000 and they're like, well, if I can't buy it directly for whatever reason, and I have to hire a proxy service. Now I got to take into account the proxy service I got to pay, their service price, their shipping price from the Japan seller to their home, and then from their home to your house. You have to pay their services for packaging. So a lot of proxy services, they'll charge you for like the box that it comes in and the padding that you put in the box, etc. The type of shipping that you want, the type of shipping company you want. You add all those things together and somebody might be like, you know what? It's going to cost me all in all around like $1,200. Might as well just buy it from eBay from $1,300 for $100 more. And it's less hassle for me. You see how that works? Like, there's a lot of different reasons why people would pay that scalper price. So it's crazy. What do you guys think? I mean, I think reasonably somewhere around, if it's like something that's like near mint condition, at most, I think double the price would be the furthest people should go, I would say. So for sake of example, if it's $400 from Volks, $800 max. Like, especially dependent on if it's in pristine condition. Also rarity. If there's like 100 Hatsune Mikus or 1,000 Hatsune Mikus for sale on the secondhand market, you're not gonna get double that price. But if you can only find, like, let's say 1 or 2 for sale, maybe double the price. Again, that's subjective. Like, how far are you willing to go? How far do you want to pay? Let's see. Luxaria says, I think international is more expensive since they have to pay shipping and customs tax. Yes, it is more expensive because of that. But I'm not factoring in the shipping price or the taxes or anything like that. I'm just factoring in just the price for the doll. But if you do factor in shipping and taxes and custom fees, it goes even higher. And sometimes those fees might make it worth it to just buy from somewhere like Amazon or eBay. Because again, you add in that $800, right? If you bought it from, let's say, Yahoo Japan for $800, then you have to pay the proxy service like World Shopping or Bai to pay for their services to get it for you. So that's an extra amount that you tag on. Then there's tax, then there's shipping. Then for depending on where you live, there's customs fees, right? That could bring you from $800 to $1,200 alone. And then you see this price for $1,300 on eBay, and you're like, well, that's all I'm going to pay is $1,300 plus tax, and it's less hassle. I don't have to make an account on Bai. I don't have to worry about X, Y, and Z reasons. It'll just ship straight to me. Maybe I'll just pay that $1,300. Like, see how that works? Like, that's crazy to me. Kitten Cat Shop says, Weeb Tax, even brand new, just released, remint is $69, $3,500. I'm not really sure what you're referring to, Kitten Cat Shop. Can you elaborate? Barbie Witch says eBay prices are almost always like 300 to 400% markup. The listings also hang out for a really long time. Do they actually get bought? They do. They actually do. I'll talk about that in a second. Luxaria, if you think Miku's crazy, the limited dolls are even more, especially the limited event Super Dolphy. Super Dolphy prices, I'll take your word for it because, again, I'm not very knowledgeable in resin. I think OG prices need to be adjusted for inflation first for fair comparison to today's secondhand market. Inflation is definitely a thing that you got to keep in mind. Again, that's depending on how many are flooding the market at the time. BJDs from Russian artists are astronomical right now. Well, the Russian artist stuff, I can understand why it's astronomical because tensions between Russia and pretty much the rest of the world is kind of crazy right now. Luxaria says, maybe it's also because eBay and other websites take a cut per item. I don't know how much that will be, though. That's also true. That's another thing I forgot to mention. When you sell on eBay, because they're selling it for you, eBay gets a cut. So, for instance, eBay and I believe Mercari take 10%. If I'm wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe they take 10%. So if you sell a doll for $1,000, you're only going to get, was it? I'm so bad at math. You're only going to get $900, for the doll because eBay will take 10% of that. And then depending on how you work it with eBay, eBay will either give you like a flat rate thing where the buyer pays. So now you have to be careful. So if you sell it for $1,000, knowing that you're going to get 10% taken off. So knowing that you're only going to get $900 in return, you're even going to get less depending how you want to do shipping. So if you take the eBay standard shipping price and tag it in there, then you pay shipping as the seller. So whatever shipping that is, $40, $50. And I only say $40 or $50 because it's a large item for these doll boxes. So it's usually around there. Or you can set it to where the buyer pays shipping. So now if the buyer's paying $1,000 for that doll, you're getting the $900, but then the buyer pays taxes and shipping. So for the buyer, that might be $1,100 now. Now the buyer's like, maybe I don't want to buy it, because $1,100 is too much, when ultimately you as the seller you only wanted $900, but in order to get the $900, you had to sell it for $1,000 to factor in the 10% sales that eBay takes from you, and then the shipping. So that's another thing that like skyrockets the price. Jay Louisa says prices. Well, actually, I forgot to say this. Jay Louisa, welcome to the stream, Jay Louisa. Prices can also be determined if it's from a popular property or from the resin side, even if a well-known face-up artist worked on it. Yes, popularity. Again, prices could skyrocket from popularity. So, for example, my next example. Actually, I'll bring it up here since we already had Miku up for a while. Your Spy Family is very popular right now. So, because of that popularity, prices for your is going to go high, right? It's going to go really high. And we'll talk more about your, but I want to get back to chat real quick. Barbie Witch says, when I wanted to get the Your Forger DDY, markups were vulgar. There was no justification for the cost beyond I wish to make $300 or more. Actually, it's funny you mentioned Your because we're going to talk about her. Like Volks USA probably pays a duty when they get shipments to justify their markups from home, and I get that shipments over X amount have to pay taxes and duties. That is true. The Volks prices are always a little bit more than international prices because they're charging you the import taxes that they had to incur when they brought it to the US. Someone in Japan selling multiple limited Dolphy Dreams on eBay, markup. Simply because they are profiteering, they stink, and they're also not playing by Volks rules. Those rules being don't scalp. Kit Kat Shop says, LOL, at least eBay doesn't have a buyer's premium like auction houses. Buyer pays bids plus 10% to the auction house. That's a good point too, Kit Kat, is those auction house stuff, that stuff sucks. Lux says, it's obvious many people scalp since I see a lot of unopened dolls online. Volks can't track them all. Yeah, all those ones. See, here's the love-hate relationship with that, right? You know, and it's pretty much, I want to say a 90%. Let's be generous and say 90% guarantee that when you see something for sale and it says mint, unopened, for sale, you know that's a scalper. You know they purely bought that item to resell for more money. But here's the thing. Some buyers are going to, how should I word this? Some buyers are enticed by that. And I'll give you an example. Me. So as a collector, I like to collect things and I prefer to have something brand new and mint condition rather than something that's used. There's a lot of things that happen with used stuff. For example, you could have staining. You could have broken parts. It could be a bad description and a bad seller. Now, obviously, you can do things like, tell eBay or report them in a Facebook group. So this is a bad seller, things like that. But that still doesn't deter the fact that you bought something in a bad condition. Sure, you could try to get vengeance by reporting these people, but ultimately you still have a unnew product, like a bad product, right? So individuals like myself, I prefer to have something brand new. Now, when I buy things, I can't always get my Grail dolls brand new because they don't sell them anymore. So I usually hunt, personally, for the ones that are brand new. So in that sense, I kind of like scalpers. And I know that's so cringe to say because I don't want to pay scalper prices because those are ridiculous. But at the same time, most people that will sell dolls secondhand have already opened them, used them, displayed them, etc., etc. And and this is a personal choice. This is not for everyone. I personally want something new. That's my personal choice. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it. Doesn't mean you have to do it. But I'm just saying, in that sense, for me personally, scalpers in a way are a benefit for me. But in just that limited, what's that? Perspective is the word, I think. Is it perspective? I think it's perspective. Just from that limited perspective, that's why for me personally, that I like scalpers because I can get a brand new one that way. But then I hate the prices. I don't agree with the prices. I don't like the prices whatsoever. And I don't want to encourage those prices. But at the same time, that's the only way I can get it secondhand new. Not many people sell a doll brand new, okay, unopened and sealed for a reasonable price. Because most people that buy them that have no intentions of resale open them. Like they open them. Like me. Like I open all my dolls. I don't keep any of my dolls in boxes. You know, I take them all out. I use them. I take them out for cons. I take them out for photo shoots because I love them. I want to enjoy them. I want to play with them. And I'm assuming everybody else is that way too. When you buy a doll, you want to enjoy it and you want to take it out or whatever. You have no intentions of reselling, right? So it's a love-hate relationship, right? And I see you guys are flaming me. I know you guys are flaming me because it is very controversial. It's a bad take. But at the same time, it depends on the person. What do you want? Like, I want something brand new. That's a personal thing for me. I know a lot of people are not like that. A lot of people like buying used because there's a lot of benefits in their aspect or in their minds to it. I want my stuff, if I can help it. Obviously, sometimes you can't always help that fact. I've bought used stuff before because there's just no way sometimes. There's just no other way. But I prefer to buy something brand new. So am I part of the problem also? Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that. That's 100% true because I'm looking for the brand new items. And no one that loves their dolls, that wants to play their dolls, is really going to keep it in the box brand new when they decide, oh, I don't fall in love with it anymore and I want to sell it. No one. Because if you really love dolls, you're going to open that box. Let me see. There's a lot of people flaming me now. Let me see. Where am I at? There used to be a person here in the US who got her family together to get her buy stuff for resale. I mean, if they catch you reselling it, they ban your account. Sorry. Yeah, that's true. Like other account, like Volks, if they catch you reselling things, you know, you could get banned. Same thing with Smart Doll. Also, if they catch you, you know, reselling things like as an actual scalper, not somebody that bought it, played with it, used it, and then is just selling because you didn't fall in love with the doll, but like an actual scalper for resale purposes, they will ban you also. Let me see what's ever going on. But if scalpers didn't exist, would have more available for first-person purchase. That is true and not true at the same time. If scalpers didn't exist, I still think that items will sell out. It's not like it's going to be something where something's available still 10 years later. I think they will still sell out because they make limited productions of these. It'll take a longer time for items to sell out, and more actual doll lovers or doll people that want the actual product, more of them will have the opportunity to get it. But eventually, at some point, it will sell out and the secondhand market will start. In my opinion, there is no fair market 1 to 2 months from release. That's because it's always based upon who's the first one to mark it up. That's the problem. Let's see. What's going on? Everybody in chat's very vocal today, which is great. I love this. After 1 to 2 years from limited release, I expect markup. That's fair. I think that's a fair point. When do you think of something that's within a certain perspective? So getting back to pricing, let me just talk about Yor real quick because I kind of caught up a little bit with chat. Talking about Yor. So Yor was released recently and she was released for 74,800 yen. In today's market, converting that price today, it's $500 roughly for her, okay? Now on the secondhand market in Japan, 130,000 to 143,000 yen. That's $850 to $950. Again, we see this with the Japanese market. At most, it's double the price of the original sales, roughly. So I don't know why the Japanese market is like that, but that's great for us buying as secondhand buyers or international buyers. Those are great prices for us. And I know people would rather pay more towards the $500 mark, but at the same time, you know, again, going back to that double the value price, as much as I hate to say it, that's not that bad. And I only say that because comparatively to international price, International price, she's going for $1,000 to $1,500. $1,500 is roughly the max I've seen in different Mercari, eBay, Facebook groups. That's usually roughly the amount I've seen the most. But normally I see a lot of people selling her for around, the more common sale is around $1,000 for her right now. That's about double the price also. Now the reason for that is she's not as rare. And she's only been around for like roughly a year, right? So those factors apply for her pricing. There's quite a few of them around on eBay, Mercari, Facebook, Mandarake, Yahoo Japan. There's quite a few of them around for sale right now. She's not that scarce. So that's one factor of why her price is fairly low for her. Another reason for her prices being fairly low is because, how should I say this? The popularity for her is there, but trying to see what is the right way to say it. Let's put it this way. Because more people nowadays, like I'm talking right now in 2024, most people nowadays, I would say a good 50% of the doll community know how to buy things from Japan secondhand, whether that be Mandarake, Yahoo Japan, etc. And I think because of that, the market internationally is starting to stabilize a little bit and coming down to earth, at least in line with the Japanese market. Because when you see something for sale for a lot of money on international markets, because the knowledge is now out there, and a lot of people, like Barbie Witch said, a lot of people know Mandarake exists. I would say a good 50% of the community know about it and check Mandarake. Or Yahoo Japan, that the prices on the international scene is starting to dwindle down towards the Asian market value. But that's not always the case, as we'll see in the next example. But that's another reason why I think her value is still low. Oh, my chair's sinking. But yeah, that's and now this is a more recent release of a doll that we're talking about. Let's see. Luxaria says, it doesn't take long for inflation. Sometimes as soon as the event ends, markup already starts, at least in Japan. Wasn't it, Luxaria, maybe you know because you live in Japan, but I believe that the very first release of Rapunzel, the Smart Doll Rapunzel, not Smart Doll, so stupid, the Super Dollfie release of Rapunzel, wasn't it the fact that she sold out super fast after the Dopa event? I believe she went for immediately on eBay for like double the price on like Yahoo Japan, right? She went automatically for double the price, I think. I think her price has calmed down since then, but she's a good example of that. I expect increases over time after that, but then there is the issue of fabric, vinyl degradation, vinyl staining, resin yellowing. That is true, Tempest. But see, here's the thing too, is that the chances of you getting a doll that is older, that the increased value goes up, the higher the chances for yellowing and staining. And I say that only because I assume that doll was loved. And what I mean by that is not the gross thing. What I mean by that is somebody opened the doll, somebody took the doll out, so it got exposed basically to, I don't know, the world. Now this is not a guarantee. I'm not saying this is a guarantee, but if you buy one that has been sealed and never opened and it's old, the chances of that yellowing or degrading are a little bit lower. I have nothing to prove that or back that up other than that's just a gut feeling, because it's not exposed to light, right? If it's still sealed. So that hinders the yellowing. However, even though a doll's not exposed to light, it still will yellow over time and degrade over time. Yes, but it will be less so if it's still sealed. That's my opinion. I have no scientific proof to back that up, but that's my opinion on that. Kitten Cat Shop says, yeah, buying one and selling a issue is bots and other unfair tactics of scalpers. That's another thing. Sometimes even doll owners are guilty of that. Some doll owners that want to buy the doll to own it buy two. And that's with the assumption of I keep one, play with one, and I sell the other. Some people are underhanded like that too, and that makes me mad. Luxaria says, makes me think how Anya will do in the reselling space. Individuals like Anya, if it's a doll that was a pre-order project, meaning that you can order as many within that time period, I think those dolls tend to go for lower because there's so much more of them available. But that's how I think that's going. Our area is really bad, especially at Holly's, literally cleaning shelves out first day, Legos especially. Xeri says, about Rapunzel, yes, super. Like I said, any Super Dolphy Limited. Right. Dolls will degrade, oxidize in the dark and in their box. Really? I feel like they do, but not as much as something that's exposed, right? And again, I have no scientific proof to back that up other than just like my own personal theory or opinion. But I feel like, yes, it is going to degrade and oxidize no matter what. But isn't it like lesser so if it's still sealed? Like it's still going to degrade, right? And yellow. But if it's sealed and not exposed to the elements, I think it slows the process, right? It doesn't stop it completely, but I feel like it slows the process. That's just my personal opinion. I could be 100% wrong. I'm not a scientist. Barbie Witch, unless they're in a museum quality space, basically, yeah, like temperature controlled and all that. Luxaria says they will still degrade even if you don't take them out, but a bit slower. Yeah, that's my theory. That's what I'm thinking. It's slower. So the odds of it being in a little bit better condition is higher. That's what I think. I have no evidence to back this up. But yeah, so what do you guys think for yours? Because yours is a good example for something that's been released recently. I think this is a very fair understanding of what the market is right now for something, especially when you compare international to Japan prices. Heat can cause chemicals to leach. I don't know what you mean by leach. I'm just not familiar with the usage in that particular example. Please specify, because I personally just don't know. If you could help me understand that better. But I think that after going over two different dolls right now showing prices, I think this is a fair example of what the market is like right now. Is that the secondhand market for something is roughly about double the price in Japan, and then quadruple the price internationally. And I think the reason why you see that is because of shipping, import taxes, custom taxes, and lack of buyer knowledge of other places to compare prices with. Like we don't have like what is it? Like, you know, somebody should make that. We don't have like a Hotwire or an Expedia kind of thing of dolls. Like, can you imagine if you can go to a website and that website will search for that doll on all social media platforms and then compare the prices? That would be crazy. My next example. So here's my crazy example that I want to go over with you guys for something that are selling out. So for those of you that watch my channel and are very familiar with my channel, know that Asuna is my Grail doll that I finally got. And she is a very expensive, highly sought after doll for multiple different reasons. You could say rarity, you could say popularity, nostalgia, whatever can be. Now, she was released with, why did I do that so fast? For 66,000 yen. That's roughly $442 in today's prices. Now, obviously, when she was released back in 2010, I think it's 2010 when she was released, the 66,000 yen, again, was more around the lines of $600 roughly. But because of the market value right now, and with today's prices, I'm going to say she's $442 because that's what Google Translate converts the prices to right now. Christina Kowald, welcome to the stream, Christina. Now, on the Japanese secondhand market, you're going to find her for 180,000 to 275,000 yen. Now, roughly in today's translation, that's $1,200 to $1,800. That is more than what we have seen in the double the value price range for Japan prices. Now, on the international market, roughly around $2,200. So again, it's more money than the Japanese resale market for the international market, of course. And again, for those of you that are joining later, when I say eBay, I mean anything international. I just don't want to write out all the different places because that takes up too much screen space. But things like eBay, Amazon, Mercari, all those places that you can buy things secondhand internationally. Now, that's a huge price difference. We're no longer talking about in Japan double the value. We're no longer talking about triple the value. We're talking about triple the value to quadruple the value in Japan to almost like 5 times to 6 times the value internationally. Now, why is this? There's a couple different reasons for this. Obvious reasons are popularity. Popularity of Asuna is just high. She's a waifu for many people. The show Sword Art Online is, well, I want to say it's popular with a lot of people, but there's also a lot of people that really hate Sword Art Online. But Asuna has a lot of popularity. Characters design-wise, whatever. She's a beautiful doll. I'm so happy to have her. But the reason why I think her price is so high is because the availability of her is so sparse. It's incredibly sparse for Asuna. We're talking like right now, because I wanted to be as accurate as I can be. I made sure I double checked all the markets today before I went streaming. She's not available at all anywhere on the Japanese markets that I could find. Okay, if you guys can find her, great. But what my research, or when I tried looking for her on the Asian markets, I couldn't find her for sale. There was just none. On the international markets, I couldn't find her either, except for one place. I saw her in one place, and that was the $2,200, and that was on eBay. I couldn't find her anywhere else. So the rarity of this doll, the availability of this doll, is what lends to the price hike. Now, here's where it gets subjective, of course. Now, we're no longer talking, like I said, I know I'm repeating myself a lot. We're no longer talking double the value. We're no longer talking triple the value internationally. We're talking about much, much more. And here's where it comes even more subjective. How much are you willing to pay for rarity? For something that doesn't really come around that often. I will give you my own personal example. I was willing to pay $2,000 for Asuna if I could find her, because it's very, very hard to find her. I was willing to do it. I had money set aside. I know that that's an exorbitant amount of money that, people really shouldn't pay, but I was willing to pay it because that's how badly I wanted this doll, and I couldn't find her anywhere. And I've been looking for years, and every time she popped up, I didn't have money for her. So when I went to Japan, she was there in Mandarake. I saw her there. I could hold her in my hands in Mandarake. But she was selling in Mandarake itself for $2,000 US. I didn't have that money because I spent all my money going to Japan. So I couldn't buy her. Even though she was right there, I didn't have the money. When I came back, I started saving again for her, trying to see if I could find her. I couldn't find her. It was very hard to find her anywhere. Now, there was another one that finally popped up. She was used, not brand new. She was stained, and she was missing items. And I found her on eBay, and she was selling for $2,200. I wasn't willing to pay that price. For me personally, it wasn't worth it, especially because, like I said before, my personal thing is I want to find one brand new if I can. Okay? If I can. But but if I could only find her used, I was willing to buy her, but she was missing parts and she was stained, and I was like, I don't want to deal with that. I'm willing to wait to see if anything more comes along. One of my good friends managed to find her at at 3 a.m. That's USA Eastern Seaboard time, because I don't know why she was awake at that time, but she saw her pop up on Mandareke's website as like a new listing, and she was listed there for $1,500. And she told me about it, and I immediately picked her up and bought her. Because that, to me, that was a good, reasonable price for one that was brand new. It was advertised as unopened, brand new Asuna. So I jumped on it immediately. Now, you could flame me all you want for spending so much money and contributing to the cause of scalpers. But again, like I said, it's a personal thing. Like, how much do you want something? How far are you willing to go? That was, for me, is something that I personally was willing to do. I know a lot of people are not personally willing to do that. I know a lot of people don't agree that you should do that because you're what's it called? You're basically keeping the system going, right? And then, the other people that unfortunately don't have that type of disposable income in order to purchase, obviously are not going to like individuals that do that, i.e. me, because then that makes it more unattainable for them. And at that point, I have to make a decision. Do I want to stand on my laurels and not purchase this and keep waiting and maybe never get her? Or do I want to just keep saving up for the eventuality that I might find her at some point, in the condition that I want her in? It's not that you can't find her, but the condition that I want her in, was very hard to find. Let me see. Kitten Cat Chop says her anime is still popular and nostalgia. J. Louisa, I have opinions on SAO. Oh my god. I know there's a lot of people that have opinions on SAO. It's a love-hate relationship. You either love it or hate it. There's no middle ground with it. She is best girl, that is why. That show was in a lane that I was not driving in when it was a thing. That's okay, Barbie Witch. It really, that show is not really for everybody. Christina says she is super hard to find. She's very beautiful. David says, I got Asuna Titania version at retail price. Asuna Titania version is much more easier to find. And I think the reason why she's much more easier to find is because she looks the same. There are small differences in her facial makeup in version 2 Titania version. But the real reason why she doesn't sell as well is because everybody that wants Asuna wants her in this outfit. Everybody wants that particular outfit more so than the Twintania version, which is, for all intents and purposes, it's a white dress, like a plain white slip. I know there's more to it than that, but when you really get down to it, it's nothing really that special, is what I'm saying. But this one, you get the very iconic look of her, and I think that's what really contributes to her overall value, in my personal opinion. Again, this is very subjective. Barbie says that's a down payment on a car, but you do you. I know, it's disgusting. I know it is. And I feel bad at the same time, but at the same time, I'm very happy that I have her now. So it's a love-hate relationship. Corey says this happens in all collectible markets, Legos, old video games, even tube TVs right now. Popularity, scarcity, willingness of buyers, these all drive up prices. That is so true, Corey. That is 100% true. But the purpose of today's episode is strictly for the doll market, and how far is too far for us as collectors? Like, what should be within a reasonable realm of possibility versus not so much? And I think we're hitting on that. I think we're hitting on that right now. Luxaria says there's an Asuna unopened at Yahoo Auction Japan for 300,000 yen right now. Really? That's a lot. What was that? That's like hold on. Yen to USD. Let me see. I'm gonna look it up right now. It's $300,000? $2,000 right now. Okay, so $2,000. She's saying there's one on Yahoo Japan. It's a lot of money, but for unopened, somebody might pick that up because it's very hard to find her. She's very difficult to find. The scarcity is real for this one. PNB Sakura says it's all capitalism. If you have the cash and want to make the choice, that is up to you. No one needs to know. And that's why, yeah, and you're right, PNB. That's why most people do not advertise it. Like most people, when they buy things, like I'm sure a lot of people that have bought rare dolls probably don't tell you how much they paid. Like if you ask them, they probably, if they paid, let's say $3,000 for Asuna, let's just say that, right? Most people will probably say, oh yeah, she was a lot, but I paid like $1,000. Like most people will give you an under-depreciated value of what they actually paid because people are embarrassed. They're embarrassed that they paid that much. I'm embarrassed that I paid that much. But for the sake of today's argument, I'm willing to throw myself under the bus to show you as an example of like what people can and or willing to do for their personal wants or needs or quirks or whatever have you. Baru says, I ain't hating. I used to collect cells. My comment was about $2,000. Jay Luisa says, even now with Pokemon, Lorcana, and One Piece trading cards. Yeah, those things are exorbitant amount too. Luxaria says, I mean, as long as you have money for the necessities, spoiling yourself with one big item is fine. And I believe that's true, Luxaria. But people that don't have that disposable income, that aren't able to, for maybe, let's say, legitimate reasons, some of those people will hate on you, because they'll think that you're continuing the market to, or the behavior to be like that. And that's why a lot of people don't like to talk about it. And no people don't like to say it. And the reason why these prices are so astronomical and they continue to be astronomical is because people are buying it at those prices. That's the thing. Like, how many times have you seen a doll for an exorbitant amount of money and then all of a sudden it's not there anymore? Like, you put it on your favorites, you heart it, or you put it on a bookmark, and eventually it says sold, or the listing is down. The listing may be down because nobody bought it and they decide not to relist it. But a lot of times you'll see it's sold. Like, somebody bought it for that much. Now, obviously, it's anonymous. They're not going to tell you, oh, Joe Smith bought this on this day for this much, and then everybody hate on Joe Smith. No, it's anonymous. So nobody's going to tell you that they paid that much, but it is a continuing process. People pay them. And people are embarrassed to pay them because it is a disgusting amount of money that really shouldn't have happened. But depending on people's wants and access to disposable income or bad financial choices, it continues this market. When you want something badly, you pay the price. That is true. It's an unfortunate truth. And FOMO plays into that too. Because again, with the example of Asuna, it's a little bit of FOMO for me. I've seen her come up. I've passed on her many a times because I wasn't willing to pay the price. And when it came down to this price that I saw, I was like, I'm willing to do that. I can do that. Crypt. Welcome to the stream, Crypt. Welcome. He says, here's my 2 cents. If someone wants to sell their items for triple the retail value and somebody wants to buy it, good for them. It is not my business what somebody else does with their money. That is a very good point. That's a very good point. And I think, in my opinion, I think people should be allowed to do whatever they want to do with their things. If you want to sell a doll for $5,000, sell a doll for $5,000. If people think it's ridiculous, then obviously no one's going to buy it. Right? No one's going to buy it if they think it's ridiculous. And then that person will have to make a decision to just not sell their item or to drop their price, right? It's the same thing when people complain. Well, you know how Danny posts that people are complaining about the prices are too expensive. You should sell at a discount. Why? It's his company. It's his product. He should sell it for whatever he wants. And if nobody buys it because they think it's too much money, then he has to make a decision to either lower the price or just go out of business. But that should be his choice. That shouldn't be the customer's choice. That should be his choice. He's the one putting the blood, sweat, and tears into making it, the research and development, the product, hiring the people, hiring the staff, renting the place, buying the materials. Like, that should be his choice. And whether or not it's too much, for you or too much for anybody else, that will just show whether or not people buy it or not, whether his company will still be around. But he should be allowed to make that decision. And I think for people selling things on the secondhand market, it should ultimately be the same. If you think it's worth that much to you, then sell it for that much. But the problem is not everybody respects that, because everybody hides behind a computer screen. It is the internet after all. People have flamed each other for prices. I've seen it before in Facebook groups, and obviously you don't see it in eBay because there's no chat in eBay that everybody could see. But like things in Facebook groups or Discord groups, you'll see people flaming people for prices. And I don't think that's healthy. If you don't want to pay that much, then don't buy it. You shouldn't force your ideals on other people, is what I'm trying to say. Luxaria says, push comes to shove, buy Titania version and custom order a maker for the clothes and weapon. It's still going to be cheaper. You could go that route too. That is 100% a legitimate way to go. Tempest says, I feel like the scarcity and age of release warrants a full set over 1,000 cost for Asuna. I agree with that. Tempest. I think, depending on all those factors, yes. But that's like my opinion though. Not everybody else agrees with that thing. That's the problem. I think the bottom line is that we are adults. Our comfort levels should dictate what's okay at the end of the day. True. It's a case-by-case basis. A rare milk smart doll, go for it. But someone buying a doll and immediately parting it out or trying to sell chaos for lots of money is asking to be called out. Well, how many times have we seen, because we've seen it in the smart doll community, right? How many times have we seen a doll just come up for sale? Like, let's take Courage here, for example. Intergalactic Gray Courage, semi-real. How many times have we seen her go out and sell out within like an hour or 2 hours? And then all of a sudden you find her for sale on eBay or Discord or a Facebook group for double the price. It's crazy. Although, you know what's even worse? Is a doll that is always available, right? Like, let's take a frontline doll that's always available, like regular cinnamon skin tone Mirai. Okay, you can buy her for $385 right now, always available on the website. And then you see someone selling them on eBay, for like $600, $800. Like, what is that? Okay, you deserve to be called out because it's already available everywhere. See, and that's people taking advantage of your lack of knowledge of the doll, the market value, and where to buy. Those are people taking advantage of your lack of knowledge of that product. Luxaria says, I also say under whenever my parents ask how much I pay for dolls. Yeah. A lot of us do that. Let's just be fair. A lot of us do that with our significant others and or parents. I hate it when people feel like they need to tell me what I should spend my money on to make me happy. That's true. It's none of their business. You should spend whatever you want. But again, people are shame pricing people on the internet. And even though you can't get rid of it and there's nothing you could ultimately do about it, I think talking about it and bringing more awareness to the subject, I think will help other people in the long run, educationally wise, so that they can make a better decision, which I feel like this topic should be talked about. Corey says, but no matter the market, people will place different values on what their grail is worth. 2,000 is worth it to some, unreasonable to others. I doubt that there can be a group consensus on values. 100% true. That's why I said today's topic is going to be highly subjective by me because I'm doing most of the talking. But again, it's subjective to all of you too that's participating in the chat, because what I think is reasonable may not be the same for you. Christina says, I've been trying to find a full smart doll Crimson and Head for 5 years now, but it's super hard. Say he was not very popular. Thus, I hope Danny does another version of Crimson. I think the reason why Crimson is so expensive and hard to find is because there was just so much less of him. Right? That's really all it is. There was so much more less of him. So much. It's same problem with Asuna. Less to go around. Crypt says, this is why I drink. No, Crypt. No. Christina called. I've been trying to find a full smart. Oh no, I read that one. Tempest says the markup on the Volk seasonal outfit releases on eBay is a bit harsh too. We're gonna get to that one. I know we're spending a lot of time on dolls. We're gonna get to that. The word you are looking for is entitlement. Yes, that is true, Crypt. Oh, you can afford it, and I can't. Boo-hoo. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. They're luxuries, not necessities. Thank you, Barbie Witch. This is a very good point. I've said it many times on my channel, but people need to hear that. This is a luxury hobby. This is not a necessity. J. Louis says, I mean, if Volks did a character doll limited on a Yu Yu Hakusho character, I would throw all the I'll throw all the money. There's a lot of characters that many of us in the community would throw a lot of money at if they made them. Luxaria says, not related, but I do have a friend who got hated just because she took a photo of a McDonald's burger and spaghetti, and people were mad at her for saying she was boasting that some are starving. Yeah, people on the internet can be mean, man. It's just sad. COVID did a lot of mental damage. That is true. COVID did do that to a lot of people. David says, oh my god, chat, I can't keep up with you guys. You guys are going crazy. I have 12 Dolphy licensed dolls. 10 were purchased new at retail price. They only paid about 20% more when the 2K on girls off of Mandarake. Again, Mandarake is a good resource that people need to look into. So having the dolls with me, and when people ask, I just give them a lower rough estimate. I do that too, because people that are not part of this hobby judge you hardcore. Like, for people that don't know anything about this doll hobby and they see you out and about with it and they're like, how much is this? And then you say like, oh, it's, $600. People will price shame you too. They will also price, because lack of knowledge, they don't know what goes into it. They don't know how much the value is. They will price shame you on that too. So I usually, when people ask me, I'm just like, I use a couple $100. 442 in 2013 Asuna release date has same purchasing power as $580 in 2023 December roughly. I can agree with that. Barbie Witch, I think whoever said that to your friend was being needlessly harsh. That's true. Luxaria, that person. No, hold on. Crypt, and need to go touch grass. Don't we all? I feel like I'm usually in my house a lot too. So I paid a little more than retail for some of my attractionistas, but not more than a $20 markup. You're more disciplined than I, Tempest. Let's see what else is going on. Nah. It seems extreme to come down to on a fast food photo. No, that is true. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's really bad. Like, people are mean. Crypt, I have really got a short fuse for this. I'm sorry, Crypt. I told you today's topic is going to be very touchy. It's going to be spicy. Christina says girl doll are more popular, but boy dolls are. It is true. Christina says you find the price for the boy dolls sometimes 5 to 6 times more than the girls are. That's true, because the boy dolls, there's less supply of them. There's less of them going around. Damn, I sold my Crimson for $600 Australian. Could have gotten more. See, and that's another problem. That's another problem. When you sell something that you think is a reasonable price, right? And you sell it, and then later on you find out other people are selling it for like so much more, and you're like, I could have gotten it for more. I could have used that money to get more dolls. You know what I mean? Like, the temptation is there, and then you just have to basically rest on your morals, I guess, or ethical values, I suppose, to you, I mean. So, I mean, if you feel like, for instance, I had 2 tiger kigurumis, the yellow tiger kigurumis that Smart Doll sold the second year of Smart Doll existence, right? I had 2 of them, one for Mirai, one for Kizuna. I decided to sell them because I never used them. I only used it that one Halloween, and that was it. I never used them. They were just collecting dust, and a lot of people wanted it, and I'd rather give it to somebody that would appreciate the item for what it is and actually use it. So when I sold them straight up like Smart Doll value. The exact price that I paid for that item, I sold it. And, I could have gotten more. I could have gotten double the amount or even triple the amount because that's pretty much how much it's going for nowadays in today's market. But I didn't because I just felt like I needed to be fair. Like I don't I, as much as I sometimes buy things at ridiculous amounts of money because of my personal quirks of what I want in an item. I like when I resell something, I usually only sell it for like cost or below cost if it's something that's like not in pristine condition. But that's just me, right? I could have charged more. I could have gotten more for it, but I didn't. Like I bought again, I bought a what's it called? A Xenosaga doll, Momo. That was my very first doll. I had lack of education. Okay, she was already sold out, not sold by Volks, because this is years later when I discovered the hobby. She was already released like 3 years prior, so there's no way I could get it from Volks. I bought her from eBay because at that time I didn't know Mandarake existed. I didn't know that there were forums that you could probably possibly buy it from other people. I had no idea where to look. It was very much so lack of knowledge. And I thought that the only place I could get it was eBay. That's what I thought at the time. This is when I was brand new to the hobby. I had no knowledge of anything. And I paid $1,200 for her. Ridiculous, right? Absolutely ridiculous. When I decided to sell her because I just didn't bond with her anymore and I had way too many dolls in my collection, I sold her to someone for $500. She was used, but she had all the parts, the box, everything. She was in pristine condition, no staining, no yellowing, nothing was broken, whatever. And I sold her to a lovely lady down in Arizona that was willing to pay $500 for her. But that is a choice that I made. Could I have sold her back again for $1,000? Possibly. But I didn't because that's just my own personal want to do because I want other people to enjoy this hobby and I want other people to be able to afford this hobby from my standpoint. So I sold her for what her cost was, like from Volks. Let's see. We got our boy from another collector, OG price, friends helping friends, but I can never say who sold us certain dolls because folks would attack them or request dolls. Yeah, that's exactly my point, Kit Kat. Like, it's same thing for me. Like, I sold for basically regular price. Like, I didn't uptick or market price or anything because that's just me. But that's my own personal decision to make, and I guess people that are buying from me, they like that. Crip says, I use the people who don't know anything as learning tools. Yeah, I spent price bucks on this. Then I start, so this is because. And they get a good 2 hours conversation about what the doll is. Yeah. And so on. I've gotten people who say, still, you weren't wise with your money. After that, I kick them in the shins. Crypt, man. No, like I think that's fair to say in anything in life. When you're new to something, most of the time, I'm not all the time because everybody's different. Some people are just like doing research before they do anything. But I think for a lot of people, when you just start in a hobby or in a thing, you end up spending a little bit more than you should have because you just didn't have as much knowledge or education about the product as maybe you should have. And that happens to everybody. It happened to me. It happens to a lot of people. It doesn't happen to everybody, but a lot of people. Let's just say it that way. One thing that always makes me so bummed about doll people is how catty they are. They are dolls. It bums me out that people don't just enjoy things that other people have. Yeah, some people are just haters. Like, and there's nothing we could do about it really, other than like either boot them from groups or whatnot, or just flat out ignore them. Because the more attention you give to the haters, the more they'll just keep hating. I have such low tolerance for people. Listen, I'm like that, but only at work. Like at my job, I just have no tolerance. I have no patience for people at my job. But like outside of my job, especially with my hobbies, like I usually like to take the time with people because especially in the doll hobby, because I know how difficult it is as a new person getting to the hobby. Like, there's just so much that you need to know in order to get started that could be very helpful. Um, some subgroups are better than others, but yikes, you shouldn't be unable to say where you got something. Uh, Christina says, I had to talk to a lady who had 3, but she said she was going to wait for Danny for Full Body Boy to sell for $3,000 to $4,000. What? That's a lot for a male doll. That is quite the amount. But again, it's like Corey said before. I mean, if somebody's willing to pay that price, I mean, that's their prerogative. It does set a bad precedence for the selling community. But, I mean, what can you do at that point? If no one's willing to buy it, eventually that price will go down or that person just won't sell it. But if someone's willing to buy it for that, I mean, what are you going to do? Or instead of not knowing any better, you're just excited about the new hobby and have no self-control. Also very valid point. Very valid point. Some people are just so excited for this hobby, so excited to get into it and just want something now. And maybe not everybody has the same patience or impulse control as others. And you just kind of leap into things and you learn your lesson that way. It just happens. I have zero, and I mean zero tolerance for people who come with even the smallest amount of entitlement, or am I better than you? I will not waste my time and energy on those people. And that's your right. Crip, that's your right. I mean, if you don't want that in your life, that is your right to like not surround yourself with those types of people. But everybody's different, so just as long as you don't try to force your values on other people, I think it should be fine. You know what I mean? If you don't like those people, you just turn around and walk away. But as long as you don't yell at them and be like, hey, you need to do this or you need to do that, then that's not, I can't endorse that. That's not good. There's a difference between curiosity, uneducated, and belittlement towards others. Big difference. And I have no problem saying it. Don't be a dick. No, that's true. That's true. Don't be a dick. It's just, some people are just too scared to be confrontational and call other people out on it. But yeah, no, I mean, it's true. Some people need to be put in their place. It's just a sad truth of life. Okay, so I love talking to you guys. This is such a good conversation. But like, we need to move on with other examples that I want to show you guys. So let's talk about outfits. Okay, we're done with the Volks dolls. Let's talk about Volks outfits now, because we still have more to go. Corey says, what is this lesson of which you speak? We got 4 dolls in 4 days after our first order. Dude, when I bought my very first doll, the Momo that I told you guys about, that I spent $1,200 on eBay for, while I was waiting for her to ship, because it was a ridiculous 1 month shipping time that they had, that's when I bought my smart doll, and I ended up buying Mirai and Kizuna at the same time while I was waiting for that Dolphy Dream to come in. And that Mirai and Kizuna came in the mail before that Dolphy Dream Xenosaga doll came in. So yes, when you're excited in the hobby, mistakes can be made. But for me, I don't call it a mistake, because I just love this hobby too much. And I had disposable income at the time. I wouldn't condone you guys putting yourself in the doghouse and spend irresponsibly and put yourself in debt for this kind of thing. So, at the time I had the disposable income. So for me, it was something that was doable, but it is kind of ridiculous spending that much money in such a short time frame. Not rich, just irresponsible. Some of us are like that, me included. Okay, so for Volks outfits, here's a good example. So the Anastasia outfit, this is a great outfit. This is what it looks like on her. These are all the items that it comes with. If you buy it from Volks, 9,800 yen. Converted is $65 US. Again, today's conversion rate. Japanese prices on the secondhand market, 5,000 to 9,000 yen. That's $35 to $60. So it pretty much retains its original value, nothing more. And the lesser value, I'm assuming, is incomplete sets, stained sets, or maybe a broken set. But for outfits, not that bad for that. And that's a limited doll outfit. You know what I mean? That's ones that's usually you expect to go more. But again, you look at the international the international sellers, eBay, Mercari, you can even find it on Amazon, $150 to $300. See where that lack of knowledge bites you in the butt there? Like, that's a lot of money to pay when you could have gone to Yahoo Japan or Mandarake and gotten it for pretty much the same price from Volks or lower, right? But then you see other things. Now, here's another example of rarity. Rarity is another thing, like we said before with Asuna. So from Volks, the Ribbon Girl set. Now, this is the Hatsune Miku Ribbon Girl set. This was 23,980 yen, roughly $160. Japanese secondhand market, 38,000 to 55,000 yen. That's $250 to $350. In the international market, sorry, I had no other place to put it but there, $700. This is the same exact example of Asuna, just clothing-wise. You're looking at more than double, you're looking at more than triple internationally, and this is because of the rarity. When I looked for this outfit, I didn't see anything when I was searching on the Asian markets, and now I'm trying to remember. Oh, I did see it on eBay for about $250. So, the international market, again, people are preying on your lack of knowledge for where to look and where to buy on these things. These are the things that you have to watch out for. But you'll see those drastic price differences. But this is one that definitely, I think, you could say warrants a little bit higher of a price tag because of its scarcity. It's not like it's an outfit like the Anastasia one that there's so many of them available, which is why the secondhand value of it is pretty much the same as original release or lower. David says, I started collecting A-Zone 1/3 girls in 2021. I now have 45. David, you are the only person that I know of that has that many A-Zones. Like, you are my A-Zone person. I go to you all the time for A-Zone knowledge. You know more than me. Barbie Witch says, being excited is good. I think that's the point of getting into something, being excited. Crushing noob excitement to learn with head of the HOA attitude stunk for me. I mean, that's kind of like gatekeeping, isn't it? Like when new people come in and you're like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, or if it's this much or what, you're kind of gatekeeping people into the hobby, and that's not cool. Jay Louisa says, my dolls have better clothes than I have. Yeah, my dolls too. I can justify paying for a shirt or jeans for my dolls like $60, $80 because I'm like, that's fair market value, right? But I would never pay that much. Like my jeans that I wear now are like $20, Old Navy. I would never pay $80 for jeans. My dolls 100% have better clothes than I do. Let's see, PMB Sakura says, Ribbon Girl set was worth it, especially since it used my COVID money from the government. Dude, so many people did this. I don't know how this compares all around the world. Now, but in the United States, we had this thing called that the government gave out. The government gave money to help individuals cope because some people lost their jobs during COVID because they couldn't go to work because a lot of places were closed. So the government gave out money to help people, get on their feet or to live expenses. I don't know how it is the rest internationally. I assume some variation of that must have happened all over the world. But there's like this running joke that a lot of people use their government money to just buy shit. I've seen a lot of people say that they use their government checks to buy dolls and doll clothing. So you wouldn't be the only one, PMP Sakura, that did that. Now, I will have to say, in all fairness, some people got government assistance that didn't really need it, per se. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say who those people are, but some people got them. I want to say, to be very fair, I think everybody kind of got some form of government assistance money. Because in a way, I don't want to get too political, but like just on a very, very broad general scale, not very specific, but just very broad. I feel like if you had to justify something, it's like, well, if you give it to one, you have to give it to all kind of thing. Now, I know that's not the best example, but I don't want to get political. I'm just saying on a very, very broad generic example. That's all I'm saying. Um, Christina says, it is the same with heads. Some are for sale as much as a full doll. That is so true too, Christina. Sometimes I've seen heads alone go for more than the full set doll. I've definitely seen that. Can catch up that detail and number of pieces. Yes, that I think not only for the Ribbon Girl set was it a very cute factor, but the fact that you get a wig, you get like the whole outfit plus accessories, like the headphones, you know, the shoes, like you do get a lot for that outfit. And the outfit, the way the colors were coordinated and everything, it just looks really nice. It's a very highly sought after thing. Very, very hard outfit to find. If you find it, I'm not saying to buy it for an exorbitant amount of money, but it does come up very rarely. Gatekeeping, that's the term I wanted. Thanks. You're welcome, Barbie Witch. Kami what's up? I just paid 395 Australian dollars for 4 pairs of boots for my dolls. Dude, the struggle is real. I get it. I get it. I'm with you on that because good boots are hard to find. And that could be very realistically for people's boots and for doll boots in the same. J. Louis said, of course my doll needs a fur cape. Of course they do. I mean, I don't, but of course the dolls do. They definitely do. Kitten Cat Shop says, LOL, I paid off my car and then sold it last year for $200. Car depreciation is on a whole different level because you can, I guess you could say you can maintain it and fix it up to look like brand new. You can't really do that with dolls, I guess, unless you know how to do everything. Like if you could do a face up, like if the face got destroyed, but if you could do a face up just like it was from factory and you could fix the resin or the vinyl just like factory, then yeah, I guess you could resell it for the same amount or higher. But usually, you know, dolls will depreciate, I guess, and cars could rapidly depreciate depending on how well they maintain them. But then again, actually, that's a moot point because I guess that goes for everything in life. Anything that you maintain versus not maintain will lose value or gain value. So I take that back. That can be applied to anything, really. Luxaria says, I was able to buy Arcoid's alternative clothes for 45,000 yen. It was more or less cheaper compared to the 50 to 60,000 it's going for in Japan. Really? It's going for that much for Arcoid's outfit? That's a lot. I didn't realize that it was going for that much. Dang. That was the most expensive thing that I got that is not a doll. Let me think. The most expensive thing that I got that's not a doll? Mirai Carry. Mirai Carry and the Volk suitcase, the doll carrying suitcase. Those are the most expensive things that I bought that were not dolls. Crip says, I'm not getting into government money conversation. Not even a little bit. That will get me in so much trouble. That's why I said very, very broad spectrum. I don't want to get in trouble for it too. I'm just saying, like, some people used it for other things other than others. Kitten Cat says that stimulus was well spent. This is such a running joke, this stimulus check thing. It really is. It's a meme by this point. Luxari says, Japan also gave out money and travel money. It was crazy. They gave out travel money too? Wow. Barbie Witch, 200 is almost 2/3 of a classic smart doll. That is true. Luxari says, if only I wasn't afraid of getting COVID, then I would have traveled a lot. You know, a lot of people are fair. That's a fair point. But also, it was hard to travel in the very beginning because borders were closed. But I understand what you're saying. Like, when borders were open and people were scared to travel, that was probably a good time to travel. I now measure costs in Smart Doll. I do that too, Barbie Witch. Whenever I'm looking at buying something, I weigh it against a doll cost. So for sake of example, I wanted to buy, what's it called? New stuff for my computer, right? Like things that I need, like little upgrades here and there. And when I was looking at prices on, like, in the United States, we have PC Part Center called Micro Center. I was looking at prices on Micro Center for different things like video cards and updates to my cooling system for my PC, etc. And I'm looking at the prices and I'm like, for the price of that, it's like I could buy a doll. And I'm like, do I want to buy a doll? My PC still works. It hasn't crashed yet. I'll buy a doll. Like that. Like I always base my prices on doll stuff now. Anything that I buy, even like when I go out to eat, I'm like, if I go out to eat this week or once a week with my friends, and I add that up, that's like 2 outfits from Smart Doll. I'd rather have the 2 outfits from Smart Doll. Oh my gosh. PNB Soccer says, to be honest, that the wig that came with the Ribbon Girl was not that good. I ended up getting a similar wig from Cotton Doll, which I use. To be fair, that's a good point because for the most part, I want to say my experience with Volks wigs aren't that great. It's very hit or miss with Volks wigs. I think some of them are good and then some of them are just horribly bad. Like my Kaede wig is actually really bad. But I have no other wig for her, so she wears it anyways. What else is going on? Kitten Cat says it was 2000 model base model Kia. I did get a good deal for it. LOL. Hey, you remember? I feel like you guys would remember this. Kitten Cat is that I remember when I was a kid during the Super Bowl, like back in the day. I'm talking like before 2000s, like late 90s, maybe early 2000s. There was a Super Bowl commercial where I think it was either Kia or Hyundai, where they were saying buy one Kia for $4,500, get another one free. You literally buy one car, get one free. It was a legitimate, real commercial in the late 90s, early 2000s from Kia or Hyundai. It was one of those, or maybe even Geo. It was one of those like low model brands at the time. Like Kia and Hyundai are much better car products nowadays, but like way back in the early 90s, like late 90s, early 2000s, they were like really bad cars. And I remember there was a commercial in the Super Bowl ads. You could probably Google it on YouTube, where you bought one car for $4,500 and you get another car free. Kia, buy one, get the second one. My dad did it. See, I figured you would remember it because, like, you and I are like roughly around the same generation. But like, yeah, it was like buy a car, get a second car free. That is insane. Can you imagine that nowadays? That would never happen in today's market. Never happen. That was an insane commercial. Let's see. Christina says, but we know talk about cost of mail, which add to the price $80 of clothes, and then the doll for $200, and then $300 plus tax if the doll's over $1,000. It adds $360. Yeah, tax, man. Depending where you live, obviously tax is going to be different, right? Because every country, every province, or every state, or whatever, prices are different. Taxes are different. I'm sorry. So yeah, but either regardless of where you live, taxes suck, man. Unless you live in like, at least here in the United States, I know there are some states that you don't get taxed. Like, for example, I think it's Delaware and New Hampshire. There's 0 tax when you buy things, which is just insane. But I feel like they get you back some other way in taxes. So I don't know exactly how it works. I measure the cost of a pair Smart Doll in the current exchange rate of a classic Smart Doll. Luxair says, no, travel within Japan. The government pay people to go out and travel within Japan. They give huge discounts. They give you 10k to 20k yen for souvenirs to help the local shops. That's not bad. Yeah, even in the United States, you could still travel. And for fear of COVID, at least between, with me and my wife, we just didn't travel. We probably could have if we were safe. I guess you could say safe about it, but we were very paranoid at the time. And even today's standards, like even till today, like our own personal beliefs, which I'm not forcing on anybody. I'm just saying for us, like even today, we're just skeptical about going out sometimes because there's like, at least in the United States right now, or on the Eastern Seaboard, I will say, there's kind of like a resurgence of COVID. Like a lot of people around me, like in this area, have been getting like COVID again for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but my wife and I have been very paranoid about going out lately too. Um, Luxaria says Kit Kat shop. That is so true. That's so true about like buying so many dolls because he couldn't travel. I think a lot of us did that. Barbie says you also wanted a Kia Soul because of the ad with the hamsters. That was a very catchy ad with the hamsters, I have to say. Um, let's see. Got a Rio and a Rio sedan. You did? Like back in that's what your dad bought? The Rio and the Rio sedan. Has anyone ever really bought a car from Costco asking for a friend? I mean, I don't know anybody that has. Like Sarah says, I knew Costco sells a variety of things, but they also sold cars. Yeah, I never seen that. Like I've seen cars like don't they have like cars at Costco for like a giveaway? Like isn't that like a lottery prize or some kind of thing that you have to like put in a name for? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. During COVID, I still had to travel for work, but ended up driving instead of flying. Yeah, some people did that too because it just felt more safe, I guess, because you're in your own car and not with other people. Kit Kat shop. I had a red tricked out Rio, heated side mirrors and everything. Paid 14K. That is a pretty good for a tricked out car that has everything. 14K is not that bad. At least in today's standards. David Keynes, I love smart dolls, but I will never buy them again. Danny broke my trust by discontinuing milk dolls and leaving me with 16 milk dolls with no way of getting spare parts, so I swapped brands. That's a fair point, and if that's something that made or break you for that brand, that's your choice, and I respect that. Like, you should be able to do with what you want with your money, and you should be able to purchase the dolls that you want, like that fills your needs or your desires, I guess you could say. Crip says not just a giveaway. Wait, I missed out what you said before. Sorry, I took that out of context, my bad. PMB says, I agree, David. I am so sad I can't get replacement parts or optional parts. Purchased a lot of milk dolls. Well, in general, that's just the way Smart Doll works, right? Like, you can't buy replacement parts, not like Volks. So, like, Volks sells you replacement hands, shins, torsos, everything. Smart Doll doesn't offer that. They do have, like, I guess he calls it a warranty thing, where, like, if you buy a doll and something's wrong or something breaks, like, within X amount of days, you can send them an email and I think they'll send you a replacement part. But I think if just randomly, like let's say 5 years later, you need a part, it's not something that you can readily buy on the website and just be like, oh, I need a new shin, and then just buy a shin. That's something that Smart Doll doesn't do. Okay. PMB says, I would buy clothing from Smart Doll again. Tempest says, we did buy car via Costco. You did? Oh, wow. I didn't know. See, I was on that same fence. I didn't know you could buy a car from Costco. PMB Soccer says, just not sure I would buy a doll unless it is a licensed one I really want. That's a fair point. It's a fair point. Tempest says, they make a deal with a local dealer. Oh, that's how that works? Okay. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Okay, so we got super sidetracked. I'm sorry, because I want to make sure I participate with chat and make sure all your concerns are heard and read out. All right, so moving on. So how about accessories for Volks, right? This is the suitcase that you could buy for 9,680 yen. They're all available right now. Maybe not in all the colors, but they are available on the website for $65 US if you're comparing prices. On the secondhand market, you can actually get it on Mandarake or Yahoo Japan for $35 to $60. And like some of them even say brand new, not opened. So that's crazy. But look at this. Internationally, $180 to $200 international price. Again, there's a running theme here, right? Lack of knowledge, lack of education on where to look and where to buy. Like this, like people are taking severe advantage of others that just don't know these things. Okay. David says they're good little cases. I actually never bought one. I was very curious about buying one, but because they're so readily available right now, I kind of keep passing on it for the time being. But I don't doubt that they're good cases. They look like they're built nice in the pictures. All right, so more accessories. Let's talk about limited accessories, right? Let me get a drink. Okay, so for limited accessories, let's take this example. You have the Xenosaga Cosmos doll. She did not come with these gun things, turret looking thingies. She didn't come with it. You had to buy them separate. Now, when she was released, you could buy them from Volks for 11,400 yen, which is roughly around $77 if you translate it to now. On the secondhand market, they actually cost 3,500 to 8,000 yen. That's 25 to 50 bucks a piece. Like, that is a good price. But if you go on the international market, again, $280. Look at that markup. Look at that markup. And again, I for people that are joining this stream later, that didn't hear me before when I said it earlier, when I say eBay, I mean any international site. Maybe I should have specified that better and just said international prices, but anything that's like, eBay or Amazon or Mercari that, that sells to the United States or anywhere else internationally. That's what I mean by when I say eBay. So $280. Like, that's insane. Like, that's a lot of money. And a lot of people will pay that $280 for lack of knowledge that you could get it somewhere else. So again, this is a good reason why we're having this talk, so people can see the difference, people know, what the difference is, and also to just get an idea of how to value price things if you want to sell. But yeah, see, even these are limited. They're very limited. There's not many of these. Even on the Japanese market, there's not many of these, which is crazy why that it's still 25 to 50 bucks on the Japanese market, which is cheaper than the original release price of $77. Like, that's pretty insane. I was very surprised when I did the research on this one to find out those pricings. All right, let's talk about Smart Doll. We talked about a lot of Volk stuff. I want to talk a little bit about Smart Doll stuff, because a lot of it is very interchangeable between the Volk stuff and Smart Doll, but there's some particulars that I want to talk about. So OG Chitose. Of course, I'm biased. Everybody knows I'm biased for Chitose because that's my favorite, right? I just love Chitose. So from Smart Doll, Chitose was released for 52,000 yen way back in the day for her original release. That's roughly $348 in today's conversion rate. Back then, when I bought her from Smart Doll, she was about $500 because, again, the conversion rate was different. I know I repeat myself so much. It's just you never know when people join the stream later on. So if you go on the secondhand market, I was surprised to learn that in the Japanese market, she's not available right now. I couldn't find any. But on the Japanese market, she's like 60,000 yen. She's roughly $400. It's actually not that bad of a price for her. It's just being able to find her. It was really, really rough. Like, at least in the Japanese market, I couldn't find her. On the US market, I found like one or two of them, and they were like $900 to $1,100. So for me, I feel like this one, because they don't make milk anymore, and because OG Chitose technically isn't sold anymore, he did do floating heads for a while where he sold some of the floating heads, but roughly, like, because of the scarcity of her, because of the popularity of this certain character, I think this is a somewhat reasonable price for her. I'm not saying people should definitely buy her for $900 or $1,100, but I can kind of see where people are going with that price. I know not everyone's going to agree with it, and I think most people will, and I highly suggest they do try to see if they can find one on a Japanese market, whether it be like, Yahoo Japan or, Mandarake or something like that, because obviously you're going to get the much better deal there. But I was very surprised to see that on the international market that she was $900 to $1,100, because I actually think she could go for more. Not that she should. I'm just saying that I could see her going for more on the international market than that. So I was very surprised to learn that even though she's a very popular character and she's not technically in print anymore, I was very surprised to see that the price wasn't absolutely ridiculous. Luxeria says they either buy more realistic design guns or something fantasy. I mean, those guns are not popular, and I guess not many people use those for props. Yeah, I mean, the Xenosaga guns, they're not exactly the most popular ones out there, but they are very specific to, like, that character, and if you end up having that character and you want it to go with the character, you know, I just figured it would be more, for that rarity factor. But I was very surprised to learn that it wasn't. Most people, it's like you said. Yeah, I agree with that. Most people spend more money on the more realistic looking ones or more fantasy looking ones. That is 100% true. Um, PMB Soccer says, I'm going to be the odd one out, but I don't get the love for Chi. Please don't be too harsh on me. That's okay, PMB Sakura. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I actually know quite a few people that are not fans of Chi, and that's perfectly fine. Like, everybody has their own little, like, my love is for Chi, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to ream you out for not being a Chi fan. That's 100% fine. Don't worry about it. Barbie Witch says, I didn't like her for a long time. She grew on me. I've heard that too. I've heard other people say they weren't her cup of tea in the beginning and then it grew on them. Luxaria says, surprisingly, there are almost no smart dolls for sale in Mandarake, Mercari, Yahoo Auction, etc. There are some, but so few. And I know the reason for that, or at least I have a good idea for that, Luxaria. The reason why there's not many smart dolls for sale in Japan, Yahoo Auctions, or Mandarake, is because the fandom for Smart Doll is everywhere but Japan. Like, if you look at Danny Chu's numbers or sales figures whenever he posts them, like where all those little dots are, that when he shows it on the map, the majority of Smart Doll sales is everywhere else but Japan. I don't know what Japan has against Smart Dolls, but it's not like Japanese people don't buy Smart Dolls. It's just that looking at those blue dots that he posts whenever he posts them, you see so many blue dots all over the United States, all over Europe, and then sprinkled everywhere else around the world. But especially like in Japan, you don't see as many dots as you do like everywhere else. And I think that's why you don't see many of them for sale in Yahoo Japan. It's just because not as many Japanese people are buying them for whatever reason, or the Japanese people that are buying them are keeping them and just not selling them. Like that's another issue that could be. David Keynes, I sold my Milk Chitose for $600 Australian, which is roughly what I paid for her. Nothing wrong with that. Kit Kat Shop says, it seems almost like SMD is less popular in Japan, or rather more popular here. Yeah, that is 100% true, like I just said. And I know you said that before I said that. It's just I'm retroactively going back in chat and seeing these comments. Luxurious says, I think so too, but it was just a surprise considering so many people here on the internet are talking about smart dolls compared to Dolphies. That is true too. You see a lot more chatter on social media about smart dolls than you do Dolphy Dreams at this point in time. Let's see. It's not a question of whether or not they could. It's a question of whether or not they should. Good point. PMV says, what the heck are you talking about, Crypt? I'm not your father. The reason was because I didn't read it out because I thought that was just a message for PMB. But Crypt was like, if you weren't my bestie daddy, I would have to hate you. Like, PMB Soccer is like, I'm not your father. Can't Catch Out says, at Lux, maybe because we aren't in those social media groups. Maybe. One thing that I learned about Japanese people, and obviously this is subjective, I have no real proof to back this up or whatever, but my understanding or my knowledge with Japanese people that I've met personally, a lot of them, when they join social media or chat groups, I feel like a lot of them stay within their region of stuff. And what I mean by that is that, like, they like to keep within Japan stuff, like for instance, we use a lot, like in America, we use a lot of like instant messenger or Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or whatever, things like that. In Asia, I think the thing that they like to use is Line. Like a big thing is Line. So if you're not part of like Line communities, you're not going to really see that. And like most Japanese people my understanding is they like to keep amongst themselves because of the ease of being able to talk to each other. Now, I could be 100% wrong. This is totally subjective. I could be 100% wrong. Please take this with a grain of salt. But my understanding is that a lot of Japanese people are just comfortable talking with other Japanese because I guess they don't want that interaction where they can't understand somebody or somebody can't understand them, and it just is. I feel like it's a burden. Is that the right word? And it's just easier to talk amongst people of the same language, I guess. I don't know. I could be 100% wrong. Please don't take my word for whatever. It's just my thoughts. I don't really know per se. But it is true that we may not see it because we're not part of those social circles, and I think that's why is like they have their own little circles. Like for instance, we have YouTube, right? Right now, you guys are watching me on YouTube. YouTube is an international thing. Everybody uses it. Japanese people use it. American people use it. Blah blah blah. But you know what's really popular in Japan too? That's not popular anywhere else, and a lot of Japanese people use it. Nico Nico. Nico Nico, if for those of you that don't know, Nico Nico is a Japanese version of, I guess you could say, YouTube. Although, to be fair, I think Nico Nico came out before YouTube actually did. But a lot of Japanese people use Nico Nico. It's a huge community that uses that. But that's very central to Japan, even though Japanese people do very much so use YouTube also. But that's just another example of like things that they like to have within their own social circles or communities. Let me see. Kitten Cash says a more invested demo there into other companies. Not as much room to have tons of dolls. That's true too. Like not many people have like large homes. Like I guess you could say in America a lot of people have larger homes because we have a lot of space. If that makes any sense. Versus Japan that has a smaller like acreage wise space. I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I get what you mean. I don't know if I'm conveying that properly. Corey says, does Danny have a separate Japanese site or does he deal only in English? We ran into some vendors from Japan at a DollCon and they hadn't heard of Smart Doll. No. As far as I know, Smart Doll is the Smart Doll website. There's no like special Japan website. And I know what you mean because companies like, what's a good example of that? I know there's lots of examples, but for some reason I can't think of it. Like, oh, here's a good one. Dolk. If you go on Dolk Station Japan website has very, very different choices versus Dolk Station International website. There's a huge dichotomy of choices. Like there's so much on the Japanese website where you can only buy from Japan versus the international website that barely has anything on it. It's a totally different website with totally different things. Smart Doll does not have that. It's just the one website internationally for everybody. Barbie Witch says, dare I suggest that it's the outside factor, that Smart Doll is not as popular in Japan as it is elsewhere. I feel that too. I feel like for whatever reason, Smart Doll is popular in Japan, but not as popular as it is internationally. Not entirely sure why that is per se. Crip says line is life. Yeah, if you have friends that live in Asia that you like to communicate with, line is like the thing. Like I have line because I have a lot of friends that live in Asia that I still communicate with, and and I have to use line for that. Luxaria says, like, it's so rare to find Japanese people talk about their dolls. Nico Nico also, I joined in search. I tried to learn about how JP thinks about otaku and doll culture, and almost nothing. Yeah, the Japanese culture with things is, it's not like it's secretive. It's just that it's just a very different way of going about their, I guess, daily lives or business. Like here, I don't know how it is around the rest of the world because I don't travel to the rest of the world, so I'm not very knowledgeable about those things. But I can say, at least here in the East Coast in America, like everybody is very, how do you say, like individualistic in a sense where everyone's proud to, for the most part, everyone's proud to say what they like or what they do. Like everybody's very friendly is another word, is to say when you meet some stranger in America, at least here in the East Coast, most people are like, "Hey, how you doing? Oh, what do you like to do?" And like people converse. It's different in Japan. It's not that they don't do those things. It's just not it's not as easy to go about doing it there. And I think that's a cultural thing of a difference. If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Again, I could be wrong. I'm not an expert in this field whatsoever. This is just like my understanding of how I think it might work or how I've seen it work, but I could be 100% wrong on that. So please take it with a grain of salt. Oh, Crip. Okay, thank you, Crip. So Crip corrected me. Says Nico Nico came second by a few months. So, but yeah, Japan does have their own version of YouTube, which is Nico Nico, Nico Nico. And for us international people, trying to understand and use Nico Nico is really difficult. At least in my opinion, it is. Like I can't understand how Nico Nico works. Barbie Witch says Volks has a decent sized presence in Japan among collectors. Yeah, they do. Volks has a very huge presence in Japan. Luxaria says Mandarake has a JP and English international website, but mostly the same items. That is true. You can switch between JP and international on their website, and I believe they have all the same things. It's just an ease of use between the language translator. It's the same thing with the Volks International website. Whether you're on the Japanese website or the Japanese version of the Volks International website or the international version of the international website, it's all the same items. For the most part, I do remember, now that I think about it, I do remember seeing an item on the JP site that wasn't on the English translated international version of the site. So I guess it's hit or miss. Crip says I have it because I can play so many games on it. Oh, for Nico Nico? I didn't know you could play games on Nico Nico. Luxaria says, I think there's no JP websites or Danny doesn't post in Japanese, so JP people can't understand and stuff. That might be true too, because the SmartDoll website is in English, and that's the only way it is. It's not like he to my knowledge, he didn't program it in Japanese. So for those Japanese citizens that can't read English, I guess it's not as easier for them to use. But again, if I can go on an international website and hit Google Translate, I'm sure Japanese people can hit Google Translate from English to Japanese. And of course, it's not going to be 100%, translated the right way. Barbie Witch says their way of doing business is so incredibly un-Japanese that I'd imagine it's one factor. That is another good point. Very good point, Barbie Witch. Folks who live on the coast are more likely to be aware of the world than our interior. That is also true because most people, when they travel, they end up going to the coastal areas because that's the most diverse areas. Like if you think about it, like the whole eastern seaboard or western seaboard, you see more diversity of people than you would in the Midwest. But that kind of changes depending on where you are. So me personally, I don't know the geography terminology very well, but if you're in the middle of America, let's just say that, like middle America, you won't see as much diversity unless you're on the upper or bottom half. And what I mean by that is like if you're more North Middle America, like let's say Chicago, there's some diversity there. Or South, like Texas, which is in the middle, there's a lot of diversity there as well too. So it really depends. But if you're like smack dab in the middle, like that whole like, what is that? Like Nebraska, Arkansas area, like Oklahoma area, the diversity isn't as much as like, let's say New Jersey, New York, California kind of thing. Nico Nico is mostly music and artistic videos. Yeah, that's my understanding of it though. That is true. Japanese people are getting more into YouTube and TikTok compared to Nico Nico. Yeah, I've heard that as well. I've heard Nico Nico isn't as popular as it used to be, but it's still running strong, I heard. Let's see. Volks has been around a long time. SMD is still the new kid comparatively. Yes, that is true. Just a tip for people looking for things in Mandarake, try copy and paste the Japanese characters. If you type the English name, they might have few options. That's a good point. Like if you can find the Japanese version of it in katakana or hiragana or whatever whatever version of it, then yes, you can do that and you'll get different choices because not all the listings are in English. And so the translation wise, when they do the search button, doesn't work as well. That's a very good point, Luxaria. The Volks experience is huge and experiential, and SmartDoll is not. Well, that is true in the sense that SmartDoll, especially now, SmartDoll store is closed, and you can only go in by appointment and availability of Danny. Whereas Volks, they have many stores spread throughout Japan. And if you go to certain stores, like for example, the Kyoto store, it actually has like a whole museum and a cafe in there where you could do certain things. So they do kind of have experiential things. Yes. I believe the area that you are referring to of Oklahoma and Nebraska is called Flyover Country. Is that what it's called? I really don't know because I always get confused between north, west, like western, midwest, central, like that kind of area. Like, and I don't want to offend anybody by saying the wrong terminology, so I'll just say that somewhere in that Middle America area, like whatever the technical term for that is. Like, there isn't as much diversity in those areas. But yeah, okay. So again, I'm a tangent king. We get on so many tangents. Let me keep moving. So that is Chitose's price point. So let's talk about like Smart Doll clothing. So here's a good example of Smart Doll clothing is the Mirai summer outfit. Now, I don't remember the exact price of it, and I couldn't find it on the Smart Doll website. But when this outfit was actually released, I believe it was roughly around $150 US. I don't remember what that is in yen. I could translate it, but I was just lazy. I didn't translate it. But roughly, I think it was roughly around $150, somewhere around that price point, for the Mirai summer outfit. And right now on the aftermarket side, and for like we just explained with the Smart Doll stuff for Japanese market, I couldn't find this outfit on sale on the Japanese market. Like Yahoo Japan, Mandarake, I couldn't find this outfit at all. There was one that I did find on Mandarake, but it wasn't, I don't think that was looking at the pictures, it didn't look like an official Smart Doll release. It looked like one of those custom made ones that was on there. So that's why I didn't list it. But on the American side, like I've seen this for sale on Facebook groups. I've seen it for sale on eBay. I've seen it for sale on Macari, and roughly they go for around $120 to $250 for this outfit. So in general, though, Smart Doll clothing, especially if you have the clothing that was released pre-post-apocalyptic era. So this is what I like to call it, right? So when it comes to Smart Doll clothing, there is the Smart Doll, what I like to call modern fashion lineup, which is the very early years of Smart Doll. Like the first 4 or 5 years of Smart Doll was all like modern fashion. So it was a lot of jeans, t-shirts, suits, like dress clothes, things like that. A lot of those things happened in the very early times. And then there was a turning point where Danny got really big into like cyberpunk and post-apocalyptic stuff. And even till this day, the majority of the clothes that are released by Smart Doll is roughly around the post-apocalyptic theme. He does do a lot of modern stuff too, but it's a lot of it is like is more post-apocalyptic stuff. And then recently he's been getting into like more of the military clothing, like the flight jackets and the marine outfits, the solar marine outfits and things like that. But a lot of them is in that. But if you have the earlier like modern fashion stuff, like the earlier like suits, the earlier like blouses or dress shirts or sweaters, those go for a pretty hefty amount. I would say like about double, almost triple the price for those items. It's starting to wane a little bit. It's starting to come down in price. And the only reason that it's starting to is because Danny has been releasing a lot of patterns from those outfits back in the day. So people that have their own shops are starting to make those outfits in their own likeness, as in their own kind of fabric they use or different color choices, etc., etc. So the prices have been calming down on those. But if you want the original Smart Doll release of clothing from back in the early years, those are a lot of money that they go for right now on the secondhand market, like a lot of money. Um, and you'll be very lucky to find some sold for like a reasonable price. It's not that everybody's trying to, I don't want to say negative and say everybody's trying to scalp. It's more like that's what the community seems to think its value is worth. And I don't, and again, that really like flies upon the notion of it's subjective, because what you think is a good market value might not be the same as what I think is a good market value. And I know that doesn't really help for today's conversation, and it has been floated around that way a lot, but it is, like I said at the very beginning in today's episode, is a lot of what I'm going to say tonight is going to be subjective. Like, but that's why we're having this conversation. Again, this is why we're having this conversation, so that we can kind of find some kind of common ground at some point. Let's see. I see a lot of people start talking about Midwest states. Okay, so Crip says, come visit the center states before anyone wants to talk about the coastal states. Bring more in touch with the world. This Midwest is already offended. I'm sorry, Crypt. I don't know what the real technical term for it is. I always get them confused. It is my lack of knowledge and education on that topic. Scruffy says they're called flyover states. I've heard that term before. The Chicago hot dog states is what Barbie Witch is calling it. Crypt is more metro areas versus the sticks. The fried butter states. The best thing about crossing the Mississippi heading west is the 80-mile-an-hour speed limits. Really? Because I've never driven out that far. They really have 80-mile-an-hour roads. That's crazy. Other than that, it's America's litter box. For the record, we live on border between major metro area and oh my god, hillbilly. Marie Velez, welcome to the stream, Marie Velez. Beyond Volks, really, A-Zone is a major manufacturer of dolls in Japan, all sizes of dolls and accessories. It has multiple stores in Japan cities. That's very true. And that's a fair point, Marie Velez. In today's episode, I didn't really touch too much upon A-Zone stuff. So a lot of things that I've been talking about is Volks related or Smart Doll related, because that's something that me personally, I'm much more familiar of. I know we have David in the chat today that can help me out with a lot of A-Zone questions if people have A-Zone questions or want to drop some A-Zone knowledge. But as much as I like to talk about A-Zone on this channel, at least for the Doll Symposium, I do admit I follow A-Zone, I look at their stuff, but I'm not as knowledgeable as some other individuals like David that helps me out every week with some stuff when it comes to A-Zone things. But you are correct. A-Zone is a very large manufacturer that has many stores across Japan as well. The difference between IHOP country and Waffle House country. To be fair, IHOP is in more states than Waffle House is in more states. King Catstop says post-apocalyptic to be more different aesthetics than Volks. That's true. You won't see post-apocalyptic stuff really at all in Volks unless it's a very themed things. And even then, they don't theme post-apocalyptic a lot. They theme like, what's the word? They theme a lot of Renaissance stuff. They theme a lot of like princess period kind of things. You know what I mean? Like they don't really theme like post-apocalyptic or cyberpunk-ish stuff. That's very unique to Smart Doll, I would say. PMP Sakura says, it was hard to get an original school uniform. I was lucky to get it from one of the Facebook groups. Yeah, the original one, like the original Mirai Summer outfit, is very different design than this one. So this one has the orange and blue and yellow and stuff, but the original one had a vest on the top. It was like a vest top, which this one doesn't. This is the second iteration version. Let's see. The original uniform, one of those outfits I regret not buying before it was discontinued. Marie, there's a couple people that are selling versions of it that they made, and a lot of them are really good. You might want to look into that. Those older pieces were well made, and increase is similar to new stuff. I mean, like leather shoes. Yeah, that's true. Like the original leather shoes, man, those things are nice. Danny does release them from time to time, but for the most part, he's doing a lot of the vinyl release when it comes to shoes. You can call us Midwest. We are fine about that. You can even call us Flyover. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Midwest and Flyover. If those are acceptable terms, I'll keep with that. David says, I sold 100 plus original 2014-2018 clothing items as single bundle for $2,000 Australian. A friend got an excellent value bundle. Are you talking about Smart Doll clothes? I assume you're talking about Smart Doll clothes, which that would be an excellent price if you sold over 100 pieces. Crip says, but you cannot say we don't know what is going on because we control your freaking clocks. We are the only country that does that. You do realize that the United States is the only country that still uses like the changing of time for daylight savings time, and even then, not all the states participate in that, which is pretty crazy. Marie says, hello, I've been watching for a while and laughing out loud. Oh, okay, so you were just watching. You didn't comment till now. But either way, welcome to the stream, Marie. Scruffy says, driving across the Midwest simulator, corn, church, corn, porn, corn, wind turbines. I got a little bit of that when I was driving down to go towards South Carolina. I was trying to go to that famous beach. What was the name of that beach now? I can't even remember the name of that beach in South Carolina that I went to now. But either way, when I was driving down south, I did see a lot of cornfields. In like, where was that when I saw that? I think that was in Virginia or the northern half of South Carolina when I was driving down. But I did drive through like cornfields, especially like also going west when I was going through Pennsylvania. I think I drove through a couple of cornfields. PB Soccer says, I like the A-Zone 1/6 Pure Nemo dolls, but I find the clothing is not as well as it could be compared to 1/3 scale dolls. Also, the most northern Waffle House on the East Coast is in Delaware. That's true. There's none in Jersey. I haven't seen any in New York or Massachusetts or anything like that. So I think you're right. Yeah, the closest one is in Delaware. But the Pure Nemo clothing, going back to that, the Pure Nemo clothing, as much as they are nice, you're right. They're not as quality made. And that may be due in part to the fact that they're very small, much smaller clothing, and it's much harder to make it as intricate as the bigger ones. But again, maybe that's just me just making up stuff. But you are right. The quality on the smaller 1/6 scale doll clothing is not as good as the 1/3, in my opinion. I agree with you in that, in my opinion. Barbie Witch says, hey, the Midwest is also good for great oversized statues, such as the dumpling or cheese that's visible from the highway. Isn't it somewhere in the Midwest they have the world's largest frying pan as well? Was it something ridiculous like that? Myrtle Beach, thank you everybody for correcting me. Myrtle Beach. I don't know why I can't remember that. I went on my honeymoon in Myrtle Beach with my wife, and for some reason the name always escapes me when I'm trying to remember it. Yes, I was on my way to Myrtle Beach and I crossed a bunch of like cornfield stuff. Scruffy says, in fairness, I did visit the future birthplace of James T. Kirk in the Midwest. Wait, where was he born? Oh my god. Wasn't he born in Iowa? Wasn't it Iowa that was James T. Kirk? Oh my, I can't remember. I can't remember. Please correct me, Scruffy or Corey. Please let me know. Barbie says, I'm mistakenly thinking New York, which is also good for smelling like poop. New York does have a unique smell to it. Come to Massachusetts. I've been to Massachusetts. I've been to Anime Boston quite a few times. I haven't been all over Massachusetts. I've only been in the Boston area, but Boston's pretty cool. Kate and Cat Shop, driving through VA, Maryland, it's cows, Amish sheds, fireworks, repeat to North Carolina border. Yes, it is Iowa. You see, I got it right. Yay! I got it right. Iowa. Yeah, so the birthplace of James T. Kirk. Okay, so moving back on the doll stuff. Again, tangents. Oh my god, the tangents. All right, so let's talk Smart Doll Limited, right? So we talked about Smart Doll as in his original characters. We talked about some Smart Doll clothing. How about Limited? One of the biggest Limited character is Nami. And Nami was 65,000 yen at the time, which is roughly like $450 US. Now, Nami is another example of a secondhand price going an exorbitantly amount of money. So in Japan, you could get her for 150,000 yen. That's the price I found on Mandarake. She's sold out. You can't get her anymore. But the last time she was on Mandarake, she was around 150,000 yen, which is $1,000. So that still holds true to what we've seen historically in today's episode of the Japanese market having at the most double the value for like limited dolls or any other kind of dolls. It usually holds true to double the value unless it's something super rare, which Nami, to be fair, is super rare, which is why I was surprised that she was only roughly around double the value. Now you could see that, 65,000 if you double it is still less than 150,000, but it's roughly around that price range. And then if you go on the international market, $2,300. And I think she's currently up right now. That's where I found that price, if I remember correctly. It was on eBay for $2,300. Like, it is an exorbitant amount of money, and she's one of the characters that sold for that much money. I think she was like $1,800 on release. So that was in the early years of Smart Doll when she was released, and she went an exorbitant amount of money on the secondhand market immediately. I think it was like a week or 2 weeks after she was sold out from Smart Doll, she was already going for like $1,800 on the secondhand market. It was crazy. And I think till this day, she is the highest priced secondhand market Smart Doll to this date. And that's barring prototypes. Okay, we're barring prototypes because those are obviously way more money. But anything that was on the prototype garage, we're not including in that. I'm talking about official releases. She's more than Mika Jogasaki. She's more than Lelouch. C2 is too new to really compare right now. All the other ones like Gurai and the Girls in Panzer Girls. She's the most expensive out of all of them from the secondhand market was Nami. Now, I don't really know why. Maybe it's the popularity of the character. Maybe it's the popularity of the show. But there is a recent resurgence of One Piece fans right now because of the Netflix thing and the fact that it's getting closer to the end. A lot of new people are getting into it. One Piece is having a huge kick right now. So that might also be inflating her price by a lot. Let's see. PNB Sakura says, in Rhode Island where I am, we call those from Massachusetts. I can't say that. Well, no, it's not that I can't say it. I don't want to say that out loud, but that's pretty funny. Kitten Cat Shop says One Piece, right? Yeah, she is One Piece. Oh, Jay Luisa, you didn't know he released Nami? Yeah, Nami was one of his original releases. So, if I remember correctly, it's a couple characters from Girls in Panzer. You had Miho, you had Yukari. I want to say there was one more, but I can't remember. You had Gurai from Frame Arm Girls. You had Lelouch, Suzaku C2 from Code Geass. You had Nami from One Piece. You had Spike from Cowboy Bebop. What else was released? That's an anime character. Oh, you have the Idol Master Girls. So you had Mika Jogasaki and you had what the hell is that other girl? Nishizumi. Was it Nishizumi? What was the other girl from Idol Master that he released? There was 2 Idol girls that are from Idol Master. Naruto is not released yet. Should be released hopefully this year or next year. It really depends when Sunrise basically gives the approval. That's when it's going to get released. Anyone else? Am I missing any other limited dolls? I think that was all of them. I think I did mention all of them. I don't think there's anything else. No, Kitten Cat Shop, I think it's postponed. I do not think that Naruto is canceled. I think that one's postponed. Shiki, that's right, Shiki. That's the one. I don't know why I couldn't remember the name. So Shiki was the other Idol Master girl. I don't know if I missed any. I think that's all the limiteds that came out of Smart Doll right now. And also the DC comic girls. So you had Batgirl, Supergirl. Yeah, I think that's it. Batgirl and Supergirl. I was trying to think. I was like, I want to say another name, but no, it was Batgirl, Supergirl. I think those are the only two ones. Um, and I think that's all the collaborations that he did. And even with the DC Comics like uptick in pricing because those were $1,000 each, Nami's still more expensive than either of those girls. Let's see. There used to be this little store in Harvard Square. I would go to the Garage Mall, Tokyo Kid, but they went out of business. A lot of anime stores have been going out of business lately, I've noticed. And I think that's because of the rise of the internet. Because most people are just buying them off of the internet now. The bike lanes and safety improvements ruin everything. Sobbing driving in the city is more dangerous when made better for the zero cyclists using the bike lanes. Dude, bike lanes are such an issue. And if you want to see the funniest video about bike lanes, type in Casey Neistat bike lanes on YouTube. You're going to love it. That video is so funny. It's late 30, initiating lurk. Yeah, it is late. I'm so sorry, guys. We gone on so many tangents. Today's episode's almost done. We're almost done. But yeah, it is very late. I would love a Raven smart doll. Are you talking about Raven from Titans, like T Titans? That's a cool character. Spike, I already mentioned Spike. Crypt, no, you are missing Girls in Panzer. No, I said Girls in Panzer. The Miho Nishizumi and the other girl, the Yukari, I think were the only two. I don't think there was a third one. David sold his Miho and Yukari. You sold them as a pair for 2,200. That's definitely you got a good profit on that one. That's definitely a good profit on that. Pink Starfire. Oh, I love Starfire, but I like a very specific Starfire. Like there's a couple different renditions of her. I don't like all the renditions. Let's see what else. And Frame Arm Girl. I did mention the Frame Arm Girl, the Gurai. In honor of Lunar New Year's, passing out all the tangerines. Oh yeah, that's right. Happy New Year's, everybody, for the Chinese New Year's. I forgot that's actually happening. I should know better because my wife is Chinese. I should know better. Yes, Happy New Year's, everybody, for the New Year's. But yes, okay. So going back to the Smart Doll Limited. So Nami, obviously because it's a limited character and scarce quantity and popularity of the doll, the price has skyrocketed in price. Even till today's standards, it's still very, very high. Okay, so that's everything for today's episode. We're at the end for Shizu-san's Anime Corner. Today is a much longer episode than I thought. To be fair, we did go on a whole bunch of tangents tonight. Like a whole bunch of tangents, which is fine. I love tangents. Not everybody else does, so I do apologize for those of you that don't like tangents, but we did a lot of tangents today. But they were fun tangents, and they were good tangents. I really enjoyed it. So before I get into the Anime Corner, I just want to talk about any recaps or anything that you want to go over before I end today's episode, because there's a lot that we covered, and I know there was a lot of tangents in between each topic. But if you guys have any questions or any comments that you want to make before we get to the last part of today's episode, I'll leave it up to you guys. Anything at all that you want to make a comment about pricing and about anything in regards to reselling or anything like that. So I'll give it a few minutes because I know there's a delay between when something pops up in chat and when you guys actually type it in. So I'll leave it. I'll leave it for a few minutes before I move on. Let's see. Reading chat. Barbie Witch. I didn't get to read that part yet. I see it now, though. Tangentarine. I see it now, though. I just didn't get to that part in chat. My oldest is a dragon. Happy New Year. Oh, really? They're a dragon? See, I'm the rooster. I'm the year of the rooster. My daughter is... My daughter is an ox, and my son is a monkey. And my son doesn't want to be a monkey. Which is funny, because he likes monkeys, but he doesn't want to be a monkey. this was fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Kit Kat Shop. ADHD in the room. Yo, like for real. Like I swear, I know I can't really claim it, but I want to claim it. I want to be known as Tangent King because I really do. I am so sorry, guys. I go on so many tangents in a lot of my episodes, and I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but man, I today was definitely tangent crazy. There's a lot of tangents today, but they were fun. I feel like they were fun tangents. I feel like we did a lot of fun tangents today. Crip says you had me until the Midwest bash. I wasn't trying to bash. I swear to God, I'm not Midwesting bashing. I just don't know the terms, and I was just trying to say that there's not as much diversity out there. I mean, you can't deny that. Uh Tempa says, if you appreciate resellers, at what point should a scalper be banned from a business? Uh That's a good question. I think if you can't, okay, and so far it's been proven true. If you can't get rid of resellers or scalpers, because so far we haven't been able to get rid of them. They're still here. They haven't gone anywhere. Resellers and scalpers will just pretty much always be there. For any hobby, they will always be there. I feel like resellers and scalpers have their place. I really do. Whether that's a good place or a bad place is 100% subjective. There's a lot of things that I disagree with them more so than agree. And really, it's really just that one point. I pretty much disagree and dislike resellers or scalpers 98% of the time. But that very small 2% that allows me the opportunity to buy a doll to my liking, that which, like I explained earlier, is a brand new sealed doll, is the only reason why I appreciate what they do, if that makes sense. I know that is so cringe to say. It hurts to say it. But because I have that personal want or desire to purchase something as new as I can, or that want to buy something sealed, which is my fault. That's my personal preference. I'm not saying anyone has to do this. I am pretty much hurting myself by wanting this. That is the only thing that I appreciate about resellers or scalpers, is that they give me that opportunity to still buy something that's sealed and brand new that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to buy. So for sake of example, if like Asuna from Sword Art Online, the original one that was released back in 2011, if Volks made them, sold out of them like they did, like they always do with limited dolls for the most part, sold out of all of them, okay? And every single person that purchased it all opened them. Let's say for the sake of example, if they all opened them, then it would be very hard for my OCD to be able to purchase a used Asuna, because I really want a brand new one. And because I got into this hobby after her release, so there's no way I could have bought her brand new from Volks. Because I got into this hobby afterwards, like if that particular situation happened where every purchase of an Asuna was opened and used, I may not be an owner of the Asuna today, because of my own fault, though. My own fault, because I have a particular taste or a want in my purchases that I may not have. I may not be an owner of one of them now. So I like them for that opportunity. And it hurts so much to say that. It really does, because I don't want to endorse what they do, because I think it's wrong. Like, because you're taking away a doll from a person that otherwise could afford it at that time during release directly from the store, that really wanted one that couldn't get one because a scalper bought it for resale purposes. And that's wrong. I agree that's wrong. And it's very painful for me to say that, but the fact that they do that gives me that opportunity to purchase something sealed and brand new, if that makes any sense. And I know that's very contradicting statements, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack about it. And for fear of the backlash of what everybody's going to say with me now that this is now live and everyone in the world is going to hear me say that, I know I'm probably going to lose a couple followers or subscribers, or people are going to hate on me for saying that. But I'm going to be 100% honest. Whatever the consequences or outcomes of this, of me saying this will be, I'm just going to have to deal with it. But that's just how I feel. Like, I really want to have that opportunity to open something brand new. Like, I want a brand new doll for the most part, even though it's an older doll. So yeah, it is a loaded question. It is a hard question to answer, but that is my honest to God answer. Like, love it or hate it, you know, that's just the way I am, and that's a quirk of me. I'm not saying you have to agree with it, you know, or justify it. Like, that's just how I am. And that's my own fault that I'm that way. It's nobody else's fault. Let's see. PNB Soccer says, how would you ID a scalper that is a slippery slope, Tempest? I think a scalper is identified as somebody that purchases something with the sole purpose of reselling it for more money. But how would you identify one? Like, I understand what you're saying is hard. Like, for instance, if you're walking around town, it's not like you could just see someone and be like, that's a scalper, that's a scalper, that's a scalper. Like, you won't know from seeing them, right? And especially because listings online are anonymous. Like, you have a username, but nobody knows who you really are behind that username. Like, it is kind of hard to identify who's a scalper, who's not a scalper, I guess. And then how do you define a scalper between somebody that just legitimately believes that this should be the price of something versus someone who, like, for example, someone who put something on eBay for triple the price the next day of release? Like, so let's say somebody put something up for triple the price 5 years later. Then is that really a scalper? Or is that someone that believes that that's the value of the doll at the time? It's a good question. It's a good point. Oh, we see a bunch of horses. Barbie Witch is a horse. Crypt is a horse. Marie Velez, you're a rooster too? Woohoo! Jay Luis is an ox. As long as the tangent is related, it's all good. Tempest is a bunny. Dude, the episode is Beyond the Doll. Tangents are the order of the day. Well, that's why I called it Beyond the Doll, because it could be about dolls or anything else. It could go beyond the topic of dolls. This is why it's Beyond the Doll. Okay, Barbie Witch says, someday when I start my Jon Stewart style doll podcast, there will be many tangents. You should, Barbie Witch. Everybody should have a medium where they can say whatever they want or speak their mind. You should start a podcast. You should. Marie says, I haven't been able to purchase my Grail doll because of scalpers in the doll hobby. And that's true. That is 100% true. Because of scalpers and because they're pricing things so high, it does make it out of the price range of a lot of people that legitimately want to buy one that just legitimately can't afford it because of those skyrocketed prices. And it's a very good, very valid point. Barbie Witch says they bring you the fix. Can catch up. Proxies are a more honest. Wait, I'm reading that wrong. Proxies are more honest. They have a customer and it's a service. Scalpers who create scarcity and hold product hostage use unethical means to obtain are evil. I can't disagree with that. That's 100% true too, I feel. Like, when they're doing it purely to subvert the market, you know, that is evil. But at the same time, that did allow me to get my Asuna in mint condition. So it's like devil's advocate, right? Ugh. Scalpers are basically drug dealers. You guys are killing me in chat today, which is fine. It's warranted, you know. I don't mind it, but it's just funny, which is beef with what they do. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at them. People are gonna hate for other reasons. I think you are fine on that too. Listen, like people are entitled to their own opinion. This is my opinion. And you know, if people dislike it, that's fine. They're more than welcome to dislike it. You know, if they don't mind it, they don't mind it. If they like it, they like it. You know, whatever. I am just gonna get on this platform of my YouTube channel, and I will tell you guys the truth and how I feel. And whether that brings me negative attention, you know, that is purely my fault. Maybe I should curb what I say, or dare I say lie, but whatever. Like, I feel like I should be honest with you guys because I feel you guys are my doll family. Like, I can't, to be honest with you, I can't talk about things like this amongst my normal social group. Not because fear of shame or anything like that, is because they're just simply not interested in this topic. So if I were to bring it up, nobody can really contribute to the conversation or talk about it with me because they're just not into it. So when I have this channel and I get to talk live and stream live with you guys, you know, this is my only time to be able to talk doll chat with you guys. And I really enjoy it, for better or worse. I know we're all going to have variances or differences of opinions, but I, honest to God, want to hear your opinions, whether they're in line with mine or not, because the more conversation that we have, the more that, and the more healthy conversation that we have, the more we get to understand each other and maybe learn something from each other. And that's really the ultimate goal of a topic like this today, whether it's spicy or not. Is just the ultimate goal is for us to at least learn a little bit something about each other and maybe gain a little bit more understanding with each other. So when heated conversations do come up in the future, we can be more understanding about it with each other instead of like gouging each other's eyes out. And that's kind of like half the point of an episode of today. It's just more education, you know, in a sense. I don't see how that would cause you to I don't see how that would cause you to use followers myself. Maybe saying Austin is better than Amelia from ReZero could cause you to lose followers. PNB Sakura. That's funny. No, because I know. You're a huge fan of Amelia. I remember you telling me that last time we met. That's pretty funny, though. Marie Velez says, I totally understand you're being honest. You know scalping when you see it, like Jacob Bells versus Ohio. If you were like, wow, I love kitten murder, that's a problem. Let's get one thing straight. I'm not a fan of kitten murder. I'm just saying, like, I don't love it. Honeybee says, this is your channel. Your opinion is your opinion. No one should have a problem with it. No, I get that. But, you know, there's always going to be somebody that has a problem that's going to have a negative comment in the comment section. And I'm prepared for it because that's just the way the world is. Not everyone's going to agree with you, and not everyone's going to, you know, like what you're going to have to say. And I'm prepared for that, for the comment section and whatever is going to happen there. And I understand that not everybody is on the same wavelength as me or understanding level as other people. So it is what it is, and you just take it with a grain of salt. But I'm just telling you guys that as embarrassing as some of the stories I have shared with you today, and, you know, dare I say a little bit ashamed to admit that I've done certain things, I want to be honest with you guys and just tell you my honest opinion, and for better or for worse. And if you guys decide to stick with me, regardless of what that, then I appreciate you all the more. Kid Cat Chat says, no, if his kitten's doing the murder, adorable. You know, there's the... See, here comes another tangent. Speaking of kittens, I was in Target the other day, just randomly going through the toy aisle with my son, and I noticed my son likes doing the aisle that has like the Jurassic Park toys and the Beyblade toys and like the Bakugan toys. Like, they're all in that one section in Target, and I know not all Targets are set up the same, but in this particular Target, in that section, across from it is the board game section, right? And I came across this game. It was called I don't know the exact name, but the general gist of it was called like Murder Cats or something like that, and it was a card game, kind of like Cards Against Humanity, like that type of a card game, but it was like Murder Cats. It was called Murder Cats, and like all the different questions were about cats and like different ways or different awkward situations regarding cats. It was just really weird. And like when you brought up Murder Cats, I was like, that just like kind of popped in my head. Again, tangents. Sorry. Um, dude, his Amelia love is on another level. I'm pretty sure it is. If you said that Marvel was not objectively best pair girl, you would clearly be wrong. I love Marvel, but that's my favorite pair girl. But you're playing against my weakness. I know you know that I love Marvel. Crypt, you make it sound bad. It's not that bad. Don't give people the wrong impression. Hey, there is no shame in being an Amelia fan, okay? Just like I have no shame in being an Asuna fan, as much as not everybody likes Asuna. Oh, Exploding Kittens. That's the name of it. Yes, not Murder Kittens. I'm sorry, but it was something along those lines. Yes, Exploding Kittens. I saw that game and I thought it was really funny. I didn't buy them though, but I thought it was really funny when I saw the title of that. Yeah, it's called Exploding Kittens. Who has it? Someone has it? You have it, Kitten Cat? Dude, oh, we should play it one day. Just because I want to know what it's like. We should definitely play it one day. Maybe at Thy Geekdom Con. Bring it to Thy Geekdom Con. Maybe we could play it. You're crossing with the murder bunnies. We have a game for game night at Thy Geekdom Con. Yes, we do have a game. Barbie Witch says, my cat is knocking stuff off my laptop tray and I should be mad, but she's got thumbs. Wait, she's got thumbs? Your cat has thumbs? Wait, cats have thumbs? I mean, I guess they do. That one claw that kind of goes in like this, right? Like, is that really considered? I guess that's considered a thumb, right? I don't really know. You guys are messing with me, aren't you? Are you guys are you guys messing with me? It's like, watch, it's gonna be all over the internet. Shizu-san falls for the fact that cats have thumbs. No, like I don't know. I have no idea. But anyways, okay. So since there's no more questions, and I answered a very heated question, which is fine. I'm very happy for that question. Thank you, Tempest. But it doesn't look like we don't have any more questions regarding today's topic of, reselling and things like that. So thank you, everybody. This is a very educational and a very fun episode in chat, talking about everyone's opinions on reselling and resale values and pricings and things like that. I thought this was a lot of fun. And you guys handled it like champs. I really thought that today's episode was going to be so spicy, and I was prepared for some people to get really mad and heated in the chat. But I'm glad that we were all able to be, mature adults about this and at least have a relatively healthy conversation in regards to how things should be priced, or maybe could be priced and things of that nature. So it was a very good topic. I think we had a lot of fun talking about it today. So thank you, everybody, for coming and participating in this. So before we leave, I want to do my last part. Obviously, we're going to do this last part of Shizu-san's Anime Corner. Now, I have 2 anime for you today. And the reason why I have 2 today is because one was a recommendation, and I really want to talk about the recommendation. And the other one is my own recommendation. So, first up is the one that was recommended to me. So if you guys remember from the last episode, I recommended The Saint's Powers Omnipotent. And you guys recommended that I watch The Apothecary Diaries. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So during my lunch break, I watched the first episode and I got hooked. And I had to keep watching. So I watched the entire first season of The Apothecary Diaries and I absolutely loved it. It was such a good show. I haven't finished season 2, but Apothecary Diaries, oh, that was a great recommendation. I forgot exactly which one of you recommended Apothecary Diaries, but whomever it was, thank you so much, because that was such a great watch. And I am now going to re-recommend it to anybody else. If you haven't seen The Apothecary Diaries, please watch it. It's such a good show. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for that recommendation. And like a lot of people that recommended me videos, I have either not watched it yet or I have watched it. But the only reason why I'm shouting out this recommendation is because I really fell in love with this one. Like other shows that were recommended to me were very good shows, but this one really hit me. Like I don't know exactly what it was about it, but it was along the same wavelength as The Saint's Powers Omnipotent, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you for recommending The Apothecary Diaries. This was such a good watch. I really enjoyed it. So now to go to my recommendation of the week, which is going to be this one. So this one's called The Demon Sword Master of Excalibur Academy. Very long name, ridiculously long name. But this one is another isekai type show. Again, I'm a huge fan of isekai. There's a lot of garbage isekai out there, but there's some that I genuinely think are pretty good. And this one, I haven't finished it yet because it is in simulcast right now. So I don't think all the episodes have been released as of yet. So I'm watching it in piecemeal, which is something I rarely do. But this show I thought was pretty good. Anyways, this is a different kind of isekai where it's not somebody that goes from modern day and gets reborn or teleported in a fantasy world. This is a show where someone from a fantasy world gets isekai to another fantasy world. Okay. And it's almost in a way a reverse isekai because it's like in this one, it's like someone from a fantasy world gets isekai to another fantasy world, but that other fantasy world kind of has a lot of similarities to modern day world, if that makes any sense. And it has like a lot of like magic. It has a lot of like swordsmanship and things like that. As you can see, one of the characters is holding a sword, and it says Excalibur Academy. So you're gonna have a lot of things like with swords and magic. Again, this show is not finished yet. I don't think. I think it's still being simulcasted. I think it's at episode 10 now, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a very good show. If you've liked my prior isekai recommendations in other episodes, then I think you'll also like this one. This individual, like I said, gets isekai from one fantasy world to another fantasy world. And in this fantasy world, obviously, like other isekais, they are somewhat overpowered. They meet a bunch of individuals and help them in their journeys and overcome their problems. So I don't want to give too much away, and I also can't give too much away because it's, like I said, it's not finished. But this one is not on Crunchyroll though. It is on High Dive. So if you have the High Dive app, you can watch it there. I do not know if you can watch it in other places like Hulu or any other like streaming platforms, but I know it's definitely on High Dive because I'm watching it there. I didn't see it available on Crunchyroll, so it's not on that one. But if you want another isekai recommendation or you're thirsting for something fantasy like, give this one a shot because the Demon Sword Master of Excalibur Academy is actually pretty good. I think it's good. But don't watch it with little ones because it's not a lot, but there are some scenes that get a little edgy. Like romantically edgy wise, and I don't think it would be appropriate for younger children. So this is something I would say for the most part should be adult watched. It's not exactly 100% mature audiences only, but it is kind of dancing on that border where I just don't think it should be for younger people. But if you're an adult or an older teenager and you want to watch something isekai fun, this is my recommendation of the week. I think it's pretty good. So that's it for all my recommendations. So thank you for the Apothecary Diaries, great show, and the Demon Sword Master of the Excalibur Academy. Check it out. It's actually pretty good. I like it. But that's everything for today's episode. So thank you everybody for coming. Let me see. Any last thoughts in chat before I end the stream? Kitten Cat Shop says cats are polydactyl. What does that mean again? I don't remember what that means. King Cat Shop had fun. Thank you. I'm glad you had fun. It was very fun. Thank you for the show. Thank you PMB Sakura for coming. Thank you, Kitten Cat Shop, for coming. Thank you, everybody, for coming. So, Barbie Witch, Luxaria, David Keynes, Tempest, Maria Velez. While I'm at it, let me just do a shout out for everybody. Crypt, Barbie Witch, Honeybee. Who else did I said Maria Velez, right? I said Maria Velez, Scruffy Looking Nerf Hoarder, Tempest, Luxaria, J. Louisa. Kitten Cat Shop. I know I said yours multiple times. I'm just going through the list. Did I miss anybody else? I would hate to miss anybody. I think I got everybody. Just want to double check. Did I miss any names? I think that's everybody. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming. If I missed your names, I deeply apologize, but I think I got everybody. Um, so yeah, like I said, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for whiling out with me in chat today. Today was a great day in chat. We definitely had a lot to talk about. The tangents were fun, but I do apologize for so many tangent king. But today I was a little worried today when I was at work. I was like, today's gonna be a very spicy episode. I hope we don't have too many fights. And surprisingly enough, everybody was very cordial in chat. We didn't have any fights. We did have differences of opinions, but we were all very healthy about it. So I was very happy. This was a great episode. You guys are the best. I'm so happy you guys wilded out with me on this. And for those of you that are watching this later on the VODs, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know your opinion on what you think about, like, reselling and price wise, what you think would be, fairly reasonable or not. But I really enjoyed today's episode. Today's episode was very long. Do apologize for that. It was a lot of the tangents that probably did it in, but it was great. I had a lot of fun, and I'm glad you people are you that sounded so wrong. I said you people. I'm glad that my doll family was here to experience this with me, and I'm glad you guys had a lot of fun. It was definitely today was definitely one for the books. I was very happy about today. This was great. So again, thank you everybody for coming. As always, I'm your host, Shizu-san, and my beautiful assistant with me today is the very lovely Courage in Intergalactic Gray. There is no episode of the Doll Symposium next week, as I will be at Katsucon next week. So if anyone's going to Katsucon, I'll be there Friday and Saturday. I have 3 panels on Friday and 2 panels on Saturday. So if you want to hang out, send me a message on Instagram. That's probably the best way to reach me, is send me a direct message on Instagram if you want to meet up or hang out at Katsucon. We should definitely chill. I love meeting you guys and talking to you guys with more doll stuff. So if you are going, send me a message on Instagram and we'll make it happen. But I think I'm only going to be there on Friday and Saturday for the con, as in Sunday I have to drive back. Kids have school on Monday, so I need to head back. And then it should be regular schedule as always. So after Katsucon, we are going to have our first guest episode of the year. If I'm not mistaken, let me just double check the calendar. I believe that is the case. So So after Katsucon, we'll have Beyond the Doll again. We're going to have several guests on for that episode. And it's going to be another spicy topic. It's going to be another topic that is going to hit some nerves with some people. Hopefully not everybody, but it is a topic that I feel like needs exposure. It needs to be talked about, and my fellow guests that will be coming on for that episode also have opinions and things that they want to talk about, and feel that it's a great suggestion. So do look forward to that on Friday the 23rd episode of Beyond the Doll. We'll have our first guests. We have multiple guests of the year. It's going to be a spicy one, so please tune in for that. I think we'll have, if today is any indication, next episode Beyond the Doll will be a very good episode. So again, that's it for me tonight. Thank you everybody for coming, and I see you guys in the next one. Bye.